thanks for coming down, man.
It's awesome to be here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, not too bad, you know. It's been
When did you get back from Ukraine?
on Friday.
Ah,
Yeah, bargain flights.
bargain flights.
Guess how much?
From Ukraine to
Yeah,
Manchester?
3.5 hours.
50 quid.
50 less.
20 quid.
13.
13.
13 quid. Friday before Christmas.
Wow.
Lunchtime.
Wow.
Can you believe it? Mental.
I've heard of cheap flights, but that seems like not possible. Like, how do they make money?
I've no idea, man. I have no idea. And the flight is half empty as well.
What airline was it?
Ryanair.
Oh, fair play to Ryanair, I guess.
Yeah. If they want to lose money, then that's up to them, you know. But
I don't know how they make money. But
yeah, man.
Maybe like after this conversation in like a week's time, they'll be in the news for going out of business.
I'm so happy because before this, they were only flying into London. So,
right. So you fly Manchester?
Yeah, flying to Manchester.
Cool.
Yeah, so you can
Maybe
pay
one
13
day.
quid for your flight. Sorry, you can pay 13 quid for your flight,
Yeah.
and then 100 quid for the train back to Penrith.
That's
you know,
true,
so
yeah. Maybe one day you'll be able to fly to Carlisle if it carries on going the way it's going.
maybe
We actually have an airport now.
Maybe I don't know. I'm starting to feel guilty about this though. You know, all these cheap flights, like it's all good.
Yeah.
But you know, Greta's like in my ear all the time. You know,
Off every flight. What are you doing?
everywhere I go, I just see Greta. You know,
I know, she gets about.
she does. Yeah, go for a cup of go for a glass of water at the water thing. Plastic cup. Greta's there, judging you.
I know. Everything's like, every company I know, every bag that you get is now like paper. Recyclable straws are now
Yeah.
paper. So it's just like, it seems to be...
But you keep buying them anyway, you know. They can charge you for the plastic bags in the supermarket,
Oh,
but
of
you still
course,
buy them
yeah.
anyway, you know.
But it slowly seems to be, everywhere I go now, it's less plastic. I'm seeing less plastic.
I'm trying my best, you know. Actually, to be honest, for the last year, before I moved to Ukraine, I had 100% no waste in my bin, 100% recycling. It takes a lot of work.
That sounds challenging.
What's it like in your household?
We do our recycling, you know,
Uh-huh.
we sort everything out, but there is some waste here, obviously.
Yeah,
But-
it takes a lot.
So what's
a
the
lot
most,
of
what's
a
the
lot
most
of energy.
difficult bit about it then?
Well, I don't know. I just think it's about sorting it all out, you know, having to wash all of the...
Because some people even do their recycling, still put other stuff gets in there, doesn't it?
Mhm.
It can't be 100%.
The question is, though, what they do with the recycling
Yeah.
once they do it, because, you know, even in countries like in Slovakia or Ukraine, where I've been living, you know, yeah, you might not be able to trust where it goes, but actually, I hear it's not so much better here, to be honest, you know.
Well, we just ship it off in containers to China or something. I remember seeing a documentary where someone from England went to follow the trail of where it went. It just ends up in China in landfill or just huge piles.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
you can't trust.
That's not really helping the world, is it?
No, not at
That's
all.
just us. Get rid of it. Quick,
Yeah,
get rid
just
of it.
hide the problem.
Pay some money, get rid of it. Worry about it later. And did you see, I can't remember that guy's name, it was on Joe Rogan, the guy who's invented the system to start getting rid of the plastic in
for
the...
filtering the water. Yeah, no, I haven't seen this.
He's only a young man in his early 20s, and he's developed a system it's gone through a few iterations of fail, but now I think they just received their first few containers full of plastic that was all done autonomously from this system that he's developed.
It's amazing.
So, I mean, that doesn't even scratch the surface, but...
The thing is, until recently, none of us even thought about this.
I don't know, most of us knew it was there until
No.
someone flew a drone over and went, what the fucking hell's that?
I know, but you know,
Twice the size of Texas.
it's insane. Insane.
It's been building since God knows when.
And apparently, you know, in the olden days before all these plastic problems, this would have been like an eco paradise. All the animals and all of the bacteria would have been circulating around the same area.
Yeah.
You know, creating the whales would go there. They would eat all of the seafood. And now it's just
So I think part 2 of his system, which I haven't listened to it all yet, is what do you do with it? So you've got 2 containers of plastic back from the ocean. Now what? So developing ways of constantly making it. But if we stop making things out of plastic, eventually we should be able to dispose of or reuse the plastic that we've got.
Yeah.
And then it should gradually start coming. It'll take a long time. Might not be. Probably won't be in our lifetime. But eventually, that twice the size of Texas plastic island will be gone.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
You would hope so.
And we're not pumping more out. Because the first part was like, yeah, I'm getting rid of it, but more's coming at the same time.
I think what worries me is that, you know, we can do our best in the UK, and I think we do, you know, and actually we need to be setting the standard for the rest of the world, you know. So if we're not doing it, you know, that this is where the problem is.
Yeah, the major corporations, that's where it starts. 'Cause they're the ones that just they're always looking to cut corners and do the things the cheapest, which up until now, a lot of it's involved using plastic.
But then you've got to think, how long is it going to take the rest of the world to catch up? Even if we, you know, when the politicians and they say, right, we're going to do this by 2030, you know, 10 years, in 10 years from now, then what about the rest of the world, you know? And it's the same with electric cars, same thing, you know. Okay, even if the UK goes totally electric by 2040, something like that, what about, you know, all the other countries?
I know.
And
but you've got to start somewhere. Someone's got to set the standard for everyone to eventually follow. At least things are in motion now, and it's always been talked about.
Does this worry you? All this talk about, you know, it's a climate emergency?
Well, no. In a way, that gives me. I feel good about it, because if it's in the news, then it's in people's consciousness. It should be making people feel guilty about, because they might not have been aware of it before. You just do stuff. You just use plastic. I mean, for years we've not thought about it. You go to a takeaway, there's a straw, plastic straw, you drink, put it in the bin, you never give it a thought. And now, I always think about that. I'm always going, do these guys use plastic straws? Right, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, and you want to judge them if they're not, you know.
You want to go in and say, I'm not coming here because you use plastic straws.
I know, but apparently you're seeing this thing online, you know, where somebody's grandma, she's helping her grandma taking the shopping out of the back of the car. She said, Grandma, what's that in the boot? 1,000 plastic straws. Oh, in McDonald's nowadays, they've got these rubbish paper straws, you know. So I decided to stock up on some good plastic ones.
Yeah, but that's the older generation. Once they're gone, our generation and then the generation before us, that comes before us, the next generation, they were going to grow up having that, thinking about that. So they should be a bit more forward thinking about using plastic.
I see it here in my school, you know, because
let's start. What do you like? We'll cover what do you do now? Where are you and what do you do?
It's a good question. Yeah, so I've been in Ukraine. This is my second year. I'm working as an English teacher. We're just about to open my own school. Cool. Last year I was the director for an English school, London-based company that were running their own school in Ukraine. Before that, I was working for 2 years in Slovakia doing the same job, teaching English. And before that, I was working in Asia. So it's been an amazing journey, an amazing change in career. You know, you'll know I never expected to to be working as a teacher, but I think that this is what people need to understand, is that we have this skill. We're born as British people. I'm not born, but we, you know, from a young age, we have this skill. We can speak English.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that you're actually highly desired and employable all over the world. And, you know, there's times where we all feel like we don't know what to do. You know, we don't get a lot of help with career advice and things like this when we're in school.
Or we get bad
career advice. And, you know, there's a lot of people that they don't know what to do. And, you know, what I think that people are not told is that there's a world out there of English language where people want you. And not only do they want you, but they want to pay you well to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
How did it come into your path then? Did someone just mention it to you?
You want the long story or the short story?
That's what we do here. We do long stories here.
We've got all the time in the world. I had a career in sales before I was a teacher. 4 years selling automotive vehicles to businesses. I started off working for Peugeot. I went on to work for Ford and then on to Volkswagen. Through my career, I worked up to the sales manager for the Volkswagen company. I was employed to take on this incredible responsibility, which I never expected to be offered. I went to leave my job at Ford, change company, start a new job for Volkswagen for a car sales job. The sales manager at the Volkswagen place, he said to me, "But you don't sell cars, you sell commercial vehicles. So we don't sell commercial vehicles, so why are you here?" I said, "Well, I have to sell cars. I just want to change my job, you know. I've been living in Preston. I want to live in Lancaster. Would you be interested in setting up a new department for us here?" Well, I said, yeah, I would. I always said yes to everything, Mark.
You're the yes man.
You asked me to join a band. I said yes. And I didn't really know what to do. I was only, you know, I'd only been the man on the floor. I'd definitely never been a manager of anything. He said, "Well, have a think about it, Andy. Put together a business plan. If you think you know how to help us sell commercial vehicles, then show us how we do it.
Oh, so they wanted to start selling commercial vehicles?
They wanted to start a new department for their company.
Right.
And they asked me to do it.
That's cool.
So I went away, had a little thought, I did the numbers. You know, you can figure these things out. I studied business at university, like, you know.
Must be similar principles to selling cars to public sector.
Well, of course it is, but selling anything is the same as anything.
Yeah.
You know, you look at what it costs you, your profit margins, you pay your taxes. You know, you've got your marketing, your advertising, whatever. You know, and your staff. So I did it. I worked out the plan. I went back to Volkswagen and I stood in front of the board of directors at Volkswagen. Rich, successful people, and here's me, you know, feeling confident, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
You've done your homework.
I did, and I got the job. They said, here's £250,000. Go and buy all the vehicles that you need. There's £10,000 for marketing. You need to create a radio advert. You know, we'll help you. You need to go to Manchester, buy the vehicles. You might need some people to work for you. Whatever it takes, you tell us. We'll do it for you. So that's what I did. So this began, and after 1 year, we things were going okay. You know, we sold some vans, but wasn't okay was me. And this was the problem. The lifestyle that I was living at the same time as selling cars in my high up sales manager position was not the same lifestyle I was living outside. Burning the candle at both ends, parties, rock and roll, you know, and everything else that goes with it. And throughout this year of this, you know, it's a high pressure job, Mark, you know, selling cars, this is high pressure. These people, if they've just given you £250,000, they want it back.
Yeah.
And they want it back quick. Simple.
It comes with its own pressures right off the bat, doesn't it?
It comes with its own pressures. And it was my responsibility to give this back, you know, and to make their business money. But the pressure was on. The problem with me is I couldn't handle it. Cracks were beginning to show. Do
you think that was because you were so young? Do you think that was part of it?
Yeah, well, maybe, Mark. I mean, I had it in my head, you know. I was mid-20s. Yeah, I got the job. I wouldn't have got the job if I wasn't good enough to do it. But it was about my lifestyle, you know. You're in a high pressure position with high responsibility. What a successful businessman shouldn't be doing is be partying, you know,
so
5 days a week.
Change your lifestyle or change your job.
Yeah. This is what I did. This is what all my friends did, and probably what a lot of normal people do, you know. We go out, we have a lot of fun, maybe too much fun.
Sometimes.
But, you know, you've got to balance it. This isn't a job going to the, you know, no disrespect, going to work in on a supermarket floor or something like this, you know, or whatever it would be. You know, you can't be coming to work hungover.
No.
You know.
Or late.
You got to keep your head screwed together.
Yeah.
And I'll admit I didn't. The cracks begin to show, and it wasn't long before breakdowns started happening. And they're thinking, like, this isn't the guy that, you know, this executive guy that we just employed to do this job. And this was it. So my friend started saying to me, Andy, you know, I know you've got this £30,000 car, you're making big money, but you're not happy. And I said, no, I'm fine, you know. I always had this idea to be successful, you know, like we all do, you know. I'm not giving up. And in the end, I had to. It was only once, twice, 3 times of breaking down at work. And my friend said to me, Andy, go teach English. I did it before. Thailand. Amazing. Loads of fun. You're a good communicator. You like working with people. You like kids? Yeah, I like kids. Go to Thailand.
Someone just suggested it to you?
Go teach English. Yeah, she said, I did it. You'll love it. Anyway, one day I went into my job. I handed my notice in. Head not held high. Turned out to be the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, but at the time you felt like you'd failed.
I felt distraught, Mark.
Yeah.
Distraught. I mean, you know, you think 1 year before, you know, I was on this pedestal.
Yeah.
You know, I'd been offered this incredible position. I'd sold this position myself. Nobody else had got me. I'd got it. But, you know, this was the way it was. And yeah, I felt bad for them, but you can't feel bad for them. This is business.
At the end of the day, you got to look after yourself.
You got to look after yourself. And there it began. I walked out with that job. I had some money. I knew I needed about £3,000 to go to Asia. I didn't want to go there with no money.
You don't want to be there scrimping and saving. You want to be able to go in enjoy it.
Of course. And, I'd never been to Asia before. I never taught English before, but I'd go there and check it out. So I decided to save up a little bit of money, but I didn't have this job. So I went back home, and I took any job that I could get. I went to an agency in Carlisle, and have you got any work? And you can come work in a factory. A factory? Yeah, why not? And I did it, Mark. I went from my £30,000 sales job to work in a factory, a bread factory, where nobody spoke English. Yeah, didn't matter, Mark. I did it. Next day, agency. They send you to a different place. So, door handle factory, assembling 20 pieces of door handles in every minute. And there we go. 6 months of doing these mundane, miserable jobs, living at home. Finally, I had enough money to do what I wanted to do. I got on the plane, went to Asia. Didn't know how I was going to teach English.
Did you have some connections over there then? Did your friend set you up, or?
In the end, it was just a case of figure it out.
Yeah.
In the end, figure it out. So I began to apply for jobs in Thailand. And it was so weird because I applied for a job and I wrote, no, I have no experience. I'm like, okay, start tomorrow. What do you mean start tomorrow? Never been a teacher before. No training? No, just start tomorrow. The kids are waiting for you. No, I can't do that. I backed out of it.
All right.
I visit somewhere else in Thailand. Same thing. Apply for a job. Hiya. No experience. Yeah, okay, cool, just start. What? I can't do this. And so I decided to put it off for a while, I think about this. And I proceeded to travel more around Asia. I traveled through Thailand, through Vietnam, Malaysia. Finally reached Cambodia. Somebody told me about a website called Workaway. Volunteer websites. Volunteer. I looked on this website. Thousands of jobs. Amazing. Volunteer jobs. Teaching, schools, farms, all sorts of things. And there we have it. I found some schools. I thought, well, if you're not getting paid for it, it doesn't matter if you have no experience, right? And there we go. I took a tuk-tuk from the city. Met this guy, this school. Showed me the school, and there it began.
So that's what's led you to where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's just the beginning, Mark.
What year was that when you went to Thailand?
That was 2016.
All right.
Yeah, just at the end of the summer.
That's a lot has happened in 3 years.
Well, a lot has, Mark. And the point was that the reason I told you that whole story was because this was a life-changing journey.
It was a pivotal moment in your life.
Well, it was because as the person I just painted the picture of right there, an executive businessman partying too hard. I'm not the first person to do that,
No. It's a well-trodden path.
Yeah, and burn the candle at both ends. But
it's how you handle the situation.
Yeah, and it was the transition for me to a new life, And when I began in this school, it was such a beautiful environment. I'd come from a sales environment where you're getting shouted at, where your boss will make you listen to your phone calls from your customers over and over and over again, and micro-analyze everything. To a school where there's just happy children, just smiling.
Makes you feel good just being there, doesn't it? And you walk in.
It's a big difference, and a lot of people, I believe, are like me. We're in this situation where we're in such a dark world with their jobs, and they can't see the lights.
Yeah.
But for me, I had to step not just out of our country, out of our country, right over to the other side of the world. But I always knew I wanted to work with children, and I always liked working with children. But the problem is here is the idea of going into beginning a new career to work in something like teaching would mean retraining, going to university, and
it's a long route.
Yeah, and when you've already been to university once, it's not possible for most people.
Nah.
To go to Asia, like I said, in Thailand, where they just go, start tomorrow.
Route to entry is a lot easier.
Well, clearly there's...
But I still think there's good people stand out in those situations, which is why it leads you down other paths and better opportunities as you go.
Well, I think the best thing you can do, or the best thing I did in this situation, was make the first step to go. Because how many people...
That was probably the hardest step. Yeah,
the
definitely.
hardest step was they don't, when things are bad, they don't get out of it. Or they don't find a way out. And how many people live their whole lives like that? you know, they say...
They sort of feel trapped, don't they? And they don't think there's a way out, even though they haven't even tried, really.
You know, they say in China the way to doing a 1,000-mile journey is taking the first step, you know? Or the hardest part of a 1,000-mile journey is the first step. The school was amazing, you know, if I just tried to paint the picture for you. I take this tuk-tuk, you know, 30 miles outside of a city in Cambodia, along bumpy roads, in the dark, no street lights, you know, crazy, dogs barking. I get to this school and just see, like, in, like, the moonlight, into the middle of a village, no roads, like what looked like a bandstand, like Penrith bandstand, you know, something like this. And I realized when we got close, this was the school. There's no walls, you know, just a roof.
Yeah.
You know, just a shed with some tables. When I went to work in this school, the guy asked me, where would you like to stay? You know, we have a few places you could stay. People in the village. You can stay with us if you like. $5 a day. $5 a day, what does that get us? He said, you'll get 3 meals a day, you get a bed. Amazing.
What more can you ask for?
$5 a day is nothing. So for this time that I was volunteering in Cambodia, I lived with the family. In the family, there's no electricity. You know, there's some electricity in the village, but the electricity lines, they run through the trees.
Right.
There's people out there. There's no like no showers, no electricity, so they're bathing with buckets, you know. And yeah, just incredible. You know, to go to a world where there isn't even electricity is amazing. And yeah, beautiful.
Do you have to disconnect from all your social media? Could you not get to like emails and stuff?
No, nothing. Nothing.
Wow.
But, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, the city's just, you know,
Yeah,
you can get
true.
back. What was so scary for me before going traveling, you know, you've been traveling too, I don't know what you've thought about it, but for me, the hardest thing was, the thing that scared me first was going away from home, being such a long way away. But
For an extended amount of time for the first time, that's what really
it's
makes
scary.
you wonder. Yeah.
Until you realise you can just come back.
Mm.
You know, you're only one flight away. What, from Asia? £700, £1,000
Yeah.
away from coming home in 24 hours, 48 at the most,
Mm.
in emergency. Nothing to be scared of.
How long were you there before you did come back or go home?
3 months.
3 months.
Only 3
right.
months. You know. I'm not the first person in the world to go traveling around Asia.
No.
You know, it's one of the most popular places to go, but it's the perfect place to go because it's still touristy.
Yeah, it's
But
got
it's
the best of both worlds.
Total culture shock.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah. When I went traveling, that was the first place I went. Thailand. It's like, what the hell? This place is like when we went to the city, Koh
Bangkok?
Phangan and Bangkok, Chiang Mai. Just like chaos. It's like when you got the traffic just going everywhere. No, there's no like safety.
Mental. And you know, you come to cross the road, and there's so many motorbikes, particularly in Vietnam, and probably more than Thailand. So many motorbikes, and you know, these motorbikes, there'll be a zebra crossing or a red light.
They might as well not be there.
They
might
won't
as well
stop.
not be there. No,
They won't stop.
unless there's a cow. We went. I think it was in Chiang Mai. There was a cow, and the whole street just came to a stop because obviously they're a sacred animal.
Yeah.
So this cow was just like taking forever to get across the road. We were in the back of this taxi or tuk-tuk, just going because we didn't know. We're like, what the hell? Just get out of the way. They're all going, oh my god! There's people taking photos, and like there's people standing behind it, like trying to shoo it along politely, very politely. I'm like, it's a cow. It's like 50 burgers. Move it along.
The thing is, though, when you're walking across
Yeah, what
these
a clue.
roads, all these motorbikes, you know, the worst thing you can do is stop because they're used to people just, you know, walking across the road, you know, and they can see you. So they'll go around you. The worst thing you can do is panic and stop.
Oh,
the
yeah.
motorbike will hit you.
Yeah.
Best thing to do is just close your eyes.
You'd be better off doing that. It's just I was like 22. It was just I'd never been very far in my life at that point.
Was it wild though? What was it like? Were you guys like? Was it a cultural experience or was it just a big party?
It was both. During the day when we like went sightseeing and you see all that stuff, but at night it was just crazy. It's just the whole place. It's just like completely different to what it was in the day. Just like obviously there's a lot of other tourists there as well. So you see, but it's just different ways of life and what they eat, what they drink, like alcoholic drinks and
Uh-huh.
the food that they eat over there, like bags of like, what is this? I don't know. Try it.
Yeah,
It's just
food
like,
in
okay.
plastic bags. So a curry with rice in a
Yeah, I know.
plastic bag, you know.
Or a bag of crickets or cockroaches or something
Uh-huh.
that's been like pickled or something.
Well,
like
there, let me tell you that in there, living with this family in Cambodia, what the children would do on a night is they would, as a treat, they would put a big bucket of water on the floor with a plastic perspex, see-through plastic, and a black light, blue, black light on the top.
like fluorescent. Infrared sort of thing, yeah.
and blue, so black light. So the bugs, they fly towards it.
Yeah.
They like the light. They hit the plastic sheet, fall into the water all night. Pa, 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 pa. In the morning, scoop out the water, thousands of crickets. Put the crickets into a bowl. I don't know if they dry them out or they just eat them. And it's a treat, like cereal.
It's like breakfast.
They eat with a spoon.
Oh my God.
Incredible, man.
Yeah, when I can't remember where I was, but it was like a delicacy in the bars for like, I don't know how much it was. Nothing. You just buy a bag of crickets or whatever it was. It was in this barbecue sauce or something. People just nibbling away, having it. Like, what is this place? But eventually I got used to it. I quite liked it.
Well, I guess you would. You get used to anything.
Some people were like, wouldn't even try it. Like, I am not trying that. I'm like, well, I'll try it. I'll try anything once.
Hey, man, if you come to England and you've never seen a Yorkshire pudding before, you probably think that was pretty weird too,
Yeah. Or fish
What's
and
that?
chips.
Wrinkly, crispy thing with brown sauce on it.
Well, these guys batter anything around here.
It's mental. And the thing is about Asia, it is such an amazing place. And if you're going to start off going traveling, it's the best place to start.
Oh,
because
yeah.
These people, they're so welcoming to you. They're so kind to you. And the reason they're kind to you is because they want to sell you something. But they're kind to you because if they look after you, you're going to buy something.
Plus,
right?
it's cheap. It's really cheap.
It's so cheap.
If you like rice, you can live off like 50p a day.
Yeah, we so different. So different. I like
takes some getting used to.
Well, as you know, I like cars and anything engineering. I love the trains. The trains are big, loud, and you get to the train stop and you have to climb up onto the train. The bottom of the train, you could almost walk underneath of it.
Yeah.
You see these documentaries about trains in India and things like that. Same where I went, and you can sleep on the trains. The thing is, you can't do that here.
No.
I don't think
If you do that, you get thrown off.
yeah. Somebody nick your bags.
Or you just miss your stop and end up at the end of the line in London or somewhere.
And you can see they sleep 6 people on a train.
Right.
We booked the train we were traveling, wherever we were traveling to, and you can have the cheap ticket, the medium ticket. Oh, we'll have the cheap ticket. Bad idea. 6 people in.
Oh,
3
no.
bunks. 3 bunks. Bottom bunk, middle bunk, top bunk. Top bunk about half a foot from your
From the ceiling.
ceiling, and a bit of condensation there too, kind of dripping down on your face. Worst decision. You can't even turn. You have to kind of climbing and slide. Worst decision.
Grim.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we did it the wrong way around. Because obviously we didn't know what we were doing. We started off in a 5-star hotel where like they come and say, "Oh, is your towel wet? Here's a fresh towel." That level. To then. Well, it was only going to go downhill from there, wasn't it? Because then the next place was like some cockroach-infested hut that was like next to nothing to stay there. But we're like, we have to get used to this because our budget is based on staying in places like this. I don't know why we decided to stay in a 5-star hotel, but we did. Well, that should have been at the end as a reward for making it all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. How long did you go away for?
About a year.
Wow, that's amazing. A whole group of you, yeah?
It was 4 of us all together.
And
four good friends.
And I have a question. Did you went with the whole group? Did you come back as a whole group?
No, one of the lads came back early because he just ran out of money.
And
then I was 3rd last back, and then the other 2 came back about a few months later.
Always happens. Even on a lad's holiday, like one guy meets a girl. I've fallen in love. I'm staying here forever.
No, one of them liked to gamble, so.
Well, good. Whatever. Have fun.
It was when we got to Sydney. We were in the city for a couple of months. Money just disappeared. So expensive.
Yeah.
Because the plan, what we did was we signed for job agencies, got a job, saved up money, bought a camper van, and then drove all the way up the East Coast. But he didn't make that journey. He had to go home, sadly.
It happens. It does.
So
and it's not always right for everybody too. You got to remember that you got to realize, I think, to when you go into these places, you think it's going to be just one big piss up, or just.
Well, I mean, he doesn't regret. I've spoken to him since. He doesn't regret it. It's still the best thing he's ever done in his life.
Mm-hmm.
So
I speak
fair
for
play to
myself.
him. Yeah.
But you think that it's going to be something like you've experienced before. Everybody's had fun, everybody's been to hot places, but sometimes Asia, it can kick your ass.
Oh,
because you're talking about different climate, humidity, different
food. The food kicked me in the nuts many times. Like, I remember one time walking down the street where it just projectile vomiting that just came out of me, and there was nothing I could do about it, just in the middle of a street. Then I had to run back to the hotel for it to come out the other end, and that was me for about 24 hours, and I didn't know which end it was going to come out of. It was horrific. But because we were drunk one night and we ate something off a vendor off the corner of a street. You don't know what you're eating, and it's just like, let's not do that again.
I know. This is the mistake.
It makes me wonder though, looking back, how we never got into trouble. No one ever nicked anything. There was no violence. No one ever mugged us. I feel like we were lucky because we kept hearing all these stories of things happening to people, but we were very lucky. It seems.
I think that people are always quick to judge other countries as being unsafe, like, oh yeah, you're going abroad, it's going to be unsafe, and forgetting to realise that it's no different here,
Oh yeah,
you've got different crime here.
People, if they're going to rob you, they can spot drunk people who are going to be as easily caught off guard a mile off.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in a tourist destination, people are always got their eye on you because you're a tourist, I mean, even if you went to you go to London here, a tourist destination, of course people are going to be scamming you for things. Like, you've got to have your wits about you, and if you don't, you get caught out. I think the biggest one, people go in skinny dipping in the sea, couples, they meet, they run into the sea. Where do they put their clothes? On the beach.
Exactly. But even in crowded areas, I remember once a few years ago, I was in Amsterdam on a stag do, and I was in a crowded street. We were going from one bar to another, and I looked down and there was my own wallet on the floor in front of me. I was like, that looks like my wallet, and I picked it up. My cash had gone. I didn't have that much in it anyway. All my cards were still there, but my cash had gone. And I'm like, how? I didn't feel a thing. No one bumped into me. It was crowded, so I had to watch where I was going. I was like, that's my wallet on the floor. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I had to check the ID. It definitely is mine. That's my driving license. I was like,
at least they had the generosity to give you a wallet back.
Yeah, just the fact that it was in front of me, it was almost like they were taunting me. I'm like that, and I wasn't even drunk because especially when I'm away like that. Not now. I'm old enough where I do not let myself get that drunk where I don't know what I'm doing. So,
you sure?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I haven't had a drink for nearly 4 months now.
Hey.
But yeah, I don't let myself get like that anymore, especially when I'm somewhere that I don't know. So for me, I felt like violated, and I felt like a complete loss of control, even though I was tipsy, but I had my wits about me.
I gotta say, when you're abroad and you meet people, you meet foreigners. We have got a reputation, British people. We have got a reputation. Everybody knows it. Brits abroad, we go wild. We think what applies in our country applies in another country, and it just doesn't. My mate went to, I think he went to Red Hot Chili Peppers concert in Norway. Met a girl, sparked up a joint. Normal, right? Whatever, Not my thing, but people do it. Yeah. In England, that's a situation. I don't know what would happen to you, but probably not a lot. Norway, locked up all night, missed the concert.
Wow.
Police, you go to another country, you got to ask, what's the rule here? You don't expect that the rule here is going to be the same over there, You got to have some respect, and I think that a lot of us don't do that.
I'll do some research before you go.
Yeah.
It's well documented, that stuff now with the internet we have.
I've seen some people violently ill in Asia, though, because like you said, not just sick, but because they're, if you're going to go to an island like Koh Phangan, like a party island, what are you going to do for the whole time? You're going to dance, you're going to drink, but you're also in another climate, and it's hot.
Their diseases, even their minor diseases, are totally different to ours that your body's never had before. You don't know how you're going to react.
And dehydration too.
10 times worse in extreme heat.
I don't know what makes people act so stupid when we go away. I met some people. In a hostel, maybe 20% of people, they're covered in cuts, bruises, broken arms, broken legs. And I said, what happened to you? Oh, I fell off a motorbike. Normal story. I met Andy from the Brickyard last night. He told me the same story. His pals went out to Cambodia, came back with broken collarbones, fall off motorbikes. I think it's more of an accident story, but the point is, I asked these people, how did it happen? Oh, I was drunk.
Yeah.
I'm like, next person, how did it happen? Well, my friend was drunk, so I jumped on the back. Like, well, would you ride a motorbike drunk At home?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. So where did your brains go?
Yeah.
You know, I met one guy. He said, I'm going home. I planned a whole year in Australia, and my arm is so broken that they can't fix it here in Thailand, so I have to go home. What happened? I jumped out of a moving tuk-tuk.
Jesus That tells you everything about the British abroad. Yeah, one of my friends on holiday years ago, this is when we used to play football, missed almost 2 seasons because he broke both his ankles jumping off the second story of a balcony in a hotel. It was onto grass and he still broke both his ankles.
Wow.
Absolute idiot.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have you heard the Michael McIntyre?
Yeah, of course.
What does he say? Like, I love the British. I'm very patriotic, but when I go abroad, I fucking hate you lot. He was like, even down to the arguments. They're so petty, but it sounds so much better in a foreign accent. It's like, Davido, flip a flop ball. As opposed to the English, Dave, where's my flip flop? We're just annoying at that level.
My friend did the same thing. We went to France to watch the Le Mans 24 Hours, and he goes to the guy. We're looking for the grandstand, the purple grandstand. They're different colours: green, blue, yellow, purple. Where's the purple grandstand? She's like, she didn't understand. Where's the purple grandstand? She didn't. She didn't speak English. Where is the purple grandstand? I said,
"Oh no,
dude, if you put on an accent, it ain't gonna change anything." She didn't understand English, You can put on the accent if somebody doesn't mean you're speaking the language. Oh my god!
So what happened after Thailand then?
3 months of debauchery,
right?
Which led into working in the school. Worked in school perfect. I feel like I came out of it. I tried it, and I no longer felt scared. I knew that it was going to happen. In this industry, people tell me, like, you'll get any job you want. You're British. You don't need any qualifications. Simple. You can speak English.
That's your
right?
currency.
It's your qualifications, all you need. This is what I'm telling to the people who don't know what to do. You can speak English. That is your entry into the job. But I'd done it now. I'd done it 3 months. I'd done it. I'd worked in the school. I felt good. I was a bit exhausted from being in Asia. I'd run out of money. And the culture for me was beautiful, but I didn't want to be there. I did it
in the short term.
I didn't want to live there, It was great. I got what I wanted out of it. I would happily go back. What am I going to do now? Met a girl. Every good story starts with meeting a girl.
I'm hoping you're going to tell the story about that you told me. I don't know if it was when that time. Might be the same story about how you got duped.
For money?
Yeah.
I'll tell you that one in a minute.
That's a brilliant story.
Remind me about that one. Yeah. But anyway, so next thing I'm being duped by women all the time.
That's your weakness, not alcohol.
Anyway, I met a girl in Thailand. She what are you doing? I said, I'm looking for a job, but I don't want to work in Thailand anymore. And she thought about working in Europe. Yeah, you can work in Europe. That sounds good. She said, I live in Slovakia. I have some connections. If you wanted to come to Slovakia, I could put you up for a while and get you on your feet. And that's an amazing gesture. It was nice, and that's exactly what she did. So I took her up on her offer. She was leaving. We were leaving at different times, but I looked at flights to Slovakia via home. It was Christmas by this point. I didn't even know where Slovakia was. I never even heard of that country. I remember saying, like, what a strange country to live in. I never heard of it. Where is it?
Yeah.
But I saw Green Day were playing there. I was like, so, there's gigs there. It's got to be all right.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, so that was it. I was like, well, I can go see Green Day. If I don't like it, I can just come back, Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. I stayed with this girl for a few weeks and got on my feet. I applied for some jobs. Again, they just said start tomorrow. But this time I did. You're going to be teaching primary school children and business. It's a bit different. Oh, and nursery.
Wow.
Whatever. Right. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock, you're going to teach the CEO of this Generali, this Italian insurance company. Cool. All right. And I went there. Big multi-story building, skyscraper, up to the top. Met by nice receptionist ladies, giving me tea and biscuits, sit in a nice office looking over the whole of Bratislava, Slovakia. Lady comes in and she says, "Hi, you're my teacher?" "Yeah." She said, "I don't really like to learn much because I've been speaking in English my whole life, but the company pays for my English lessons. So like if we can just kind of like talk every week for an hour, that's cool for me." I was like, sweet. Sweet.
I get to put this on my resume now.
I'm getting paid for this?
Yeah.
Dude, a year later, that's all I did. Sit down with a lady for an hour, 90 minutes actually, every week. You know, a nice...
So her English was already good?
English, very good. She's been doing English her whole life. She's in her, you know, I don't know, she's a middle-aged lady. But her company pays for it.
Wow.
You know, and but they're already at that point where they can already speak English.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a company benefit. And they did it over lunchtime, have a coffee, and they just enjoy talking to somebody. Because you imagine you spent your whole life learning something. You know, you've spent your life learning to do anything. Particularly English, you finally get a chance to practice with somebody from England. It's kind of special. And I think that they feel really rewarded by it. Because, you know, they can do business in it, but when they can talk to a real English person, it's the final goal.
Yeah, I do that over here. If I interact with someone and they're from another country and their English is really good, I make sure to tell them.
Yeah, well done.
I pick them up on it and say, "Your English is really good, by the way."
Yeah, because they probably worked their whole life to get to that, and you don't see any of that.
How much effort has gone into them being able to speak that well. But sometimes they pronounce words better than we do. Like they do speak properly. No abbreviations, no shortcuts.
Better vocabulary sometimes because, you know, when I'm teaching the kids in my school right now, I teach teenagers. I'm teaching words which sometimes I don't even know because it's just, you know, they're more advanced. You know, there's always an advanced word and a basic word to say everything, and sometimes we just don't use these.
So it's been beneficial to you and all.
Every day, man. I got a lot to learn in my life, that's for sure. Anyway, that was it, and that was it. That's what I did for 2 years.
So did she just become your friend, or you just talked to her every day?
She became my friend, but she was my client. But the point is, that's what she wanted, and that's what she's paying for. And, you know, like everything in life, you know, in business, you know, you've got to provide the person with what they want. The worst teacher will not ask the student what they want to learn. And if that lady wanted to learn conversation, she wanted to practice conversation.
Did you keep in touch with her?
Yeah, of course. And amazing because you're talking about meeting very successful people. Yeah. Their English might not be perfect, but in their job, they're highly successful. And that's rare. You don't meet highly successful people.
It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be at a certain level, which hers already was.
Exactly. And this was what I did, 2 years. All of it. You know, I did teach too. Of course I did.
So although you got paid for that, was that a bit of a waste of a job opportunity then?
For me?
Yeah. Other than getting paid.
You mean from a learning point of view? No, because you learn. You know, if you've got a good head on your shoulders and you want to become whatever you want to be, you learn while you're doing it. I still prepare lessons.
Right. Yeah. So you still treated it as it was going to be, as it was happening.
To me, I don't want to learn grammar rules.
Right.
You know, I'm happy to talk, but there's not everybody's like that. You know, there's a lot of people want to learn. You know, especially younger people. You know, they need to learn, especially if you're teaching teenagers. They've got exams to pass, and this is the learning process. And when you're somebody like me in their second career, you have to go through this to you know, there's different types of teachers out there. There's many people out there that are just doing this just as a bit of fun, a good way to travel. You got people like me who take this very seriously.
That's kind of how it started for you, though.
Exactly, that's how it did start. But I've transitioned into somebody who was just doing this because they didn't know what else to do.
But you realised the potential of the situation.
Well, I have now, in the senses that I'm about to open my own school, and this is the potential you've got. So anyway, 2 years in Slovakia, and I could tell you about that. Slovakia is an amazing place.
So how long did you do that, teaching that woman?
I taught her for 2 years.
Right.
But I also taught 3-year-old children, 4-year-old children, 5-year-old children. I would travel across the whole country, across the whole city. Would have 1 hour at 9 o'clock business, kindergarten at 10, nursery at 10. Primary school at lunch, adults in the evening, adults in the afternoon. You know, and this is pretty common in this job. You know, you carry many different books. You know, you might think, well, how do you do this? You follow books. Books help you a lot. The books tell you, you know, books are categorized by different English levels. Therefore, they have different levels of vocabulary, different levels of grammar that they need to learn. You know, yeah. Cool. It's that led me to Ukraine. I met a girl.
You did?
every good story again. A Ukrainian lady while I was living in Slovakia.
Is that the one I've met?
Yeah. 2 years together there.
Yeah.
And she was a student, not my student, I must say for the record, a
Yeah.
university. University.
Yeah.
She was from Ukraine. Again, a country I didn't know anything about. You know, if anyone doesn't know, Slovakia it's actually in middle of Europe. People think it's in the east, but it's not. It borders with, it's very close to Germany. It's almost
Slovakia.
Yeah. It used to be Czechoslovakia.
Ukraine is more east.
Ukraine is in the east, and Ukraine is a huge country. Ukraine takes up most of the east.
People don't realize how big it is.
It's the biggest country in Europe, if you don't class Russia.
Mm.
I never heard of Ukraine, but anyway, when my partner at the time finished university, we decided to go and go live in her country. I was ready for it, I was ready for a new opportunity and
a bit of stability whilst out there as well. Bit of like a base, a home to settle in.
Slovakia had become my home, though. I mean, I had I had a good job. This job paid good money. I was earning 3 times the average wage out there.
Right.
That helps a lot, man. This is probably the main thing.
That shows you how in demand that skill is.
Yeah, you're talking
how high they prioritise.
Talking 3 times the average wage, or probably 5 times the average teacher wage. Teachers low paid in Eastern Europe.
Right.
Whoa. I was ready for something new, and Ukraine was like a whole nother world, man. Slovakia was amazing. It's a different culture out there. But Ukraine has a whole nother alphabet, let's say. The language is different, but you try to read something. In Slovak, like if you go to Italy, whatever, if you read gelato, you might not know it means ice cream, but you can read gelato, gelato, whatever, gelato, whatever. But in Ukraine, you go to the pizza shop or the ice cream shop and you try to order something. It's in a whole nother alphabet.
Right.
And I think that was the hardest and most shocking thing at first, actually.
Yeah, challenge.
Because you use your eyes for everything.
So your girlfriend must have helped you with that.
Yeah, but I think she maybe got fed up helping with it too, because you become like a little child.
Always asking questions. Yeah.
You become like a child. You can't do anything for yourself.
The internet must be a good resource for learning stuff.
I know, man, but I was old school. I don't know if you remember, but I was not very technologically advanced in my olden days. I still had an old style phone. I didn't want to have a smartphone for a long time.
Speaking of phones, I must say this. You hold the record in my contacts over the years. I've known anybody in my 38 years on this planet. I have 7 different numbers for you in 5 years. Every time there's a festival, I go, I'm going to wait for Andy's new number when he gets back.
Lost a few phones.
How many Facebook posts? I wish I'd saved them all. Hey dudes, lost my phone. Message me your numbers.
Hence why at this point in my life, I just ask myself, why did I keep like these old phones?
I know you should, like, no point you ever getting a smartphone. Always have like a Nokia 3310.
Dude, I didn't have a smartphone. Wait for it until 2018.
Whoa. I think I'm responsible enough now to own a smartphone.
Hey, now people are now how everybody's feeling about smartphones. I think I had the right.
Well,
way,
in a way, you had an
honest.
advantage because you weren't glued to it. You didn't have social media on it.
Well,
so
let me just tell you, and this is like just digressing here, but it felt good. Actually, it felt good. I used to, even when I would work, I would have my old Nokia phone, which obviously just made phone calls and texts. I would have my tablet. I would log on the Wi-Fi wherever I would go, but there was in between times traveling, for example. You're on a bus or you're on a train with no Wi-Fi. It's that downtime, it's that disconnection which us as people in this 2019 we can't do, because as soon as we hit boredom or slightly bored, we whip out our phone.
Yeah. Oh, actually, by the time this goes out, it'll be 2020.
Oh, Happy New Year!
You're the first episode of 2020.
Hey. Or am I the last episode of 2019?
Yeah, you're both.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't put my Christmas hat on anyway.
No, do it.
Anyway, so it was actually liberating, actually, not having a smartphone. To be honest, man, I feel worse, but we can talk about that.
I think you were you had an advantage because you weren't a slave to this device that you see everywhere you go.
Well, tell me what changed was that my girlfriend, who had a smartphone, was fed up with me asking if I could use Uber and Google Maps, because I kept getting lost, obviously.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I couldn't not unless there was times where I had to use a smartphone.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, because I couldn't order a taxi in another country because I can't speak the language.
Yeah.
And I struggled on for a while. I was just like, it doesn't work. And she was getting so fed up with me asking if I can use her. And she's like, Andy, get a smartphone. I don't want a smartphone. I don't like smartphones. But she was right. I was a slave to it. I couldn't not. Yeah, because we all are now, you know. And it was the same with Google Maps. Like, I couldn't be in another country traveling
it's essential
to different classes without Google Maps.
Well, you try going somewhere here in the middle of nowhere that you've never been to before without Google Maps.
Exactly. So I gave in, and now I can't go back because, like, we all can't go back. I think.
Yeah. Well, how are you on it a lot then, doing social media and stuff, or?
Too much, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the same for all of us.
Too much, man.
It is too much, but it's also the norm at the same time.
Like they say, can't live without.
It's this inbuilt thing of like, you feel like you have to. If your phone's over there, you haven't looked at it for 10 minutes, you feel, I wonder if I've got a notification, I wonder if I've got an email, or I wonder what such and such is. All these thoughts that are going on in your mind, which you didn't used to exist.
You said on the previous podcast, because I have been listening.
Yeah. You listen?
I do. I'm number one fan. You said you've been saying that you would put it on silent.
Yeah,
You would leave your phone when you go dog walking. Is this right?
Yeah, and like disable notifications.
Uh-huh.
So the notifications, I have to go into the app to check if something's happened.
I think it's worse. I think that's worse because then I'm checking more. I'm doing the
it works for me. It works for me.
It works for you, which is great. I'm doing the opposite. I've trying to make all of the ringtones and alerts kind of like personal and independent. That I'm like, for example, or trying to get all of, if it's WhatsApp, it's like business. It's like, okay, I can hear it's WhatsApp because I can hear that tone.
Yeah.
If it's a weekend, that can wait. Or okay, if it's we have in Ukraine we have Telegram, and if it's Telegram, okay, it's a friend. You know, if it's Facebook, so it's if I can hear the sounds, I know if it's worth checking or not. Where if I feel like if I was you, I respect your idea, I would always be wanting to check to see if I got the notification.
I did it first, but then I usually did it when I was going to be doing something, not sitting around doing nothing, just trying to not look at my phone. I mean, when I'm like out with friends or if I'm at somewhere or relatives, I'm not thinking about my phone. Mm-hmm. That's something that I'm glad I've got to that point.
I think this is what we need to do. We need to actually think about it, you know, because we're a slave to our devices.
I've pretty much eliminated sitting down, just scrolling through my social media feed. I very rarely do that now. I will look at notifications. That's the first thing I'll do. But then I don't go to my... Once I've looked at all my notifications, I don't go to my feed and start going... I don't scroll anymore.
Because that's what everybody's doing.
That's what you get stuck in. That's what you see people doing. You can see when you're out and about, people have their brightness on full. You can see it. You can see the scroll on their face. Even.
I know.
That's me. I sit and scroll all day long.
Yeah,
I can't stop.
I've had a year-long battle since... I can't remember where it came from. Probably a Joe Rogan podcast, to be honest. Of just trying to minimise it. Because on iPhones, which I've never had, they have that thing that tells you how much screen time you've had and how much apps you've been using. So there is an app for Android that you can download doing that. And it was all social media. Occasionally emails and phone calls and that, but it was mainly social media. And I was like, that's time I'm wasting. I don't need to be...
It is wasting time, and time is valuable, you know. If you were doing this in your business or anything like that, you would never waste time. So why would you waste time in your life?
Like, do you not value your own life, your own
boss,
social...
Yeah, of course. If your boss saw you doing that in your job, he would kick your ass, right?
I tell you what else I've tried doing. I've tried to either text or ring people more rather than doing it through social media. Like, my friends, try to ring them up and they go, what are you ringing me for?
Yeah.
Just to say hello.
How are you feeling?
It's like the surprise that I've
when we spoke
that.
on the phone when I just got to Ukraine, it was so nice. You know, I could message you from you know, whatever. It's okay. Like, okay, but when we have a phone call, it
totally
just feels
different.
better, you know?
Yeah. Feels more real.
You're laughing, you know. Half the time when people are putting laughing emojis, they're not like...
You feel like I should have to put that, yeah. You can have a conversation in emojis these days.
You can't. I like emojis.
Oh, yeah. They're funny. They are funny.
I think, you know, we need to be careful. And also we can say a lot of things that we would never mean to say. The one thing that I got taught in my miserable car sales job was never deal with a customer over the phone, or even worse, over email. A customer complaint over the phone or over email.
To avoid the paper trail.
Maybe this reason, but also because you can say way too much that you don't mean.
Yeah.
There's a human element to face-to-face.
Getting your point across is different. It's like in text.
Empathy.
Things can be misread in text because if you can't really be sarcastic, can you? So they might think you're actually being serious.
Absolutely. You know, so you can...
Or something might look rude. when it's really not.
Absolutely, and that's where I think emojis help, because we can.
Yeah.
I like.
If you take the
emojis,
word,
but-
if you take the response to a question is no, just no,
Mhm.
no exclamation, no full stop, no smiley face, no kiss, just no. It can look quite harsh.
At least if you put an emoji, people know.
Yeah,
that you're,
it's weird how massive a difference that small thing can make.
yeah.
That's the world we live in now.
I feel for me, and I never thought I had an addictive personality, because I don't think I do, but recently I feel like I've become a little bit addicted to using my smartphone, and that's because I live alone. I live
Plus,
in
you've not had it for such a long time, so you're playing
Yeah.
catch up.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm like a kid with a new toy now. You know, I'm now living in Kiev as a single man, and things have changed for me a lot in the last 6 months. You know, I returned to working in Ukraine alone this time, which has been a new challenge. A new challenge. Living alone is hard for anybody. But living alone in another country is a whole nother.
That's why I say fair
challenge.
play to you, man, for doing that.
Thank you very much.
That's daunting for a lot of people.
Well, it's what I need, right? And if you remember what we were just saying before, like crazy lifestyle, I really needed it. I needed to detox, not as in detox as in chemically, let's say,
Like socially and mentally.
socially, mentally. I learned a lot of lessons. I feel like I felt, this is kind of dark, but I felt pain for the first time. And this is something that as British people, I think, everybody goes through good and bad times. Our lives can be quite good, like we don't necessarily face some of the real life problems that a lot of countries are.
I think this is the best time to be alive.
Well, yeah, we have food, right? We have shelter and things like this. But even as growing up,
We have freedom.
We have freedom. We have jobs. Like we have minimum working. Okay, things could always be better.
Of course.
Definitely. If politics has shown us anything, things can always be better. But really, you got to go to another country, and you've been out there
To
at
appreciate
age,
what
to
you
really
have.
appreciate how
Yeah.
things are hard out there, man. Because then people in Ukraine is the poorest country in Europe. Okay, it's poor. It is poor, and these people, they work so hard. These people who are teachers like me, I go to school and I work from 8 till 3 and I go home
It's pretty sweet.
because I earn 5 times more than that. But these poor people who are teachers earning $200 a month,
Wow.
it's shocking. And even in Ukraine, that's terrible. It's the same salary that you would get if you worked in the supermarket, okay? They're working, they don't leave school and go home. They work 3 more jobs. It's
To top their income up.
top their income, but they're hungry for it, man. I've never met people in my life who are so hungry for success, and that's something which our, let's say, successful countries, we're
First
losing
world.
this. Yeah, we're
I
losing
think
this.
they appreciate things that we no longer appreciate, like for the most part, like hard work or having your own car or having super fast broadband. Things that we just take for granted now. That's like things they aspire to,
or
or
even
a nice house.
when you lose your job, or you don't know what you want to do. Okay, like it can be very hard here. We have serious poverty in our country too, but we have a thing called job seekers allowance. In the welfare in Ukraine is terrible, man. Do you know when you walk through the subway stations or just anywhere, there's homeless people everywhere, just like there is here.
All
But
the cities here.
But the homeless thing is totally different over there. Here you don't see many old homeless people. In Ukraine, they're all old. They're all pensioners.
Wow.
And they're all disabled. The scary thing is that here, the last person you'd want to be on the street is a disabled person because they can't work anyway, or they couldn't.
They don't have the same coping methods.
No, or an old person, they're already too old to work.
Yeah, it's harsh.
It's the worst because
So they don't have the infrastructure to cope with the special needs.
a welfare system.
Yeah.
Mark, there's no welfare system. If you haven't got a job, you haven't got any money. There's no pension. There's the pension is so little that you can't even eat on it. Like barely enough to eat. So the streets are lined with old ladies, and it's interesting to see. It's hard to paint the picture, but everywhere is a market in Kiev, in Ukraine. Everywhere is a market, and it's insane.
Well, it's like Thailand, isn't it? They're the same.
Like Thailand, right? Everywhere there's someone selling everything on every street corner. And it's colourful. It's nice to see. But these old ladies, they're way too old to be working. But
Shouldn't be having to hustle at their age.
they'll be selling. They'll be selling anything. It depends how successful they are. If they're selling like fruit and veg, maybe they're doing okay. I walk out the metro in the morning to work. and there's 30 ladies just stood in front of you, and you have to squeeze through them, and they're stood like human coat hangers. They have coat hangers covered in coat hangers. They have like clothes, obviously, which are for sale.
Oh, so they are themselves are covered in coat hangers
with their arms out and things hanging off them.
Wow.
And just waiting for people to one lady's selling fingernail clippers. Yeah, maybe there's a poor lady who's pretty much homeless, and she's selling things that she just found on the street. So she's selling like a single shoe, or a washing machine manual, like things which are useless. But I guess what they're doing is they're saying, look, I'm not begging. Buy this off me and give me money.
Yeah.
And you buy it and you just throw it away.
The other thing about the Ukraine, it gets fucking cold and all. Mm-hmm. So you think that's someone's grandma?
These ladies who are out there, the homeless ones, they're like wrapped up in the morning. You know, they've been out there all night. Or I don't know where they've been all night, but they're wrapped up in like carpets and anything. They've got carpets wrapped around their legs and their calves, because like an Inuit or something like this, you know, like as in things wrapped around them to keep them warm, and it's weird. It's a different kind of poverty here. Here there's homeless too. In fact, I believe here that we have the biggest poverty, the biggest gap between the richest. So we have the biggest gap between the richest and the poorest in the world, which is terrible. But over there, it's just a totally different style.
Things like that make you appreciate having an NHS.
Too right.
Just shouldn't take it for granted. I mean, it's on its knees, but that's not the NHS's fault.
At least we have it.
People always have a go at the NHS, and they're always criticising the doctors. Well, they're only doing what they can do with what they've got. It's the government's really, as the years have gone on, it's just got worse, gradually worse.
When I talk to my friends working in hospitals in A&E, it's miserable. They're working 12, all of them. I don't know a single nurse not working 12-hour shifts. Like, and you know, the point is, there's humanity in it. Like, in another job, when you've worked 12 hours and you're feeling tired, you just do less work. Maybe like you stack less shelves or whatever. You sell less stuff. But in the hospital, when somebody comes in in the 11th and a half hour with a broken arm, you can't do it any slower or any worse.
I feel so sorry for people like that in those situations. Well, what can the staff do? Mm-hmm. They're at their limits, and they work ridiculous hours, and they don't get, like, every country runs on healthcare, the food industry, and education and transport, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And those are usually the most underfunded, and the police as well.
Over there's a lot of corruption, and we know there's corruption because
high up as well.
Because even if you turn on the news and talk about Trump at the moment, it's all about Trump and Ukraine. Right? Because Trump, he's being impeached, isn't he, for communication with Ukraine, speaking with the new president of Ukraine.
Was it the Ukraine specifically?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the Democratic opposition, the Democratic Party, obviously, they're coming up to a 2020 election. And obviously he's trying to find ways, trying to dig up dirt on them. Dig up dirt, because then once he digs up some dirt on them, they're less likely to get elected again, you know? Yeah. So this man, Joe Biden, his son is the owner of, the Democratic guy's owner of a Ukrainian oil company, which is weird anyway. But so next thing, Trump allegedly calls up the president of Ukraine and says, hey, go see what you can find out about this Ukrainian oil company. Dig up some dirt on them, and then I'll and I'll do what I want with it. What he's doing then is he's using his power. It's impeachment, right? Using your power to affect.
That's what what the impeachment's all about.
Yeah, but what's worse is he blackmailed. Is it called? Was it black? Yeah, he blackmailed them. If you don't do this, we're going to withdraw the aid. Allegedly, we're going to. Yeah. You know, I'm getting in trouble here. You know. Sorry, Mr. Trump. He blackmailed them in saying that if you don't do this, I think we will withdraw your aid for the war. In Ukraine, there's a war, you know? There's a war with the Russian separatists.
It's a very tenuous relationship.
Which is Russia, you know? But Putin doesn't admit that it's his men, but it is. Yeah. So, you know, the rest of the world could be doing much more. Nobody's helping. This war's been going on for like 4 years. 13,000 people have died. And no country's stepping in to help them. They just send them a bit of money, send them a bit of aid. So the worst thing he did was...
They're doing that on purpose. They're sort of drip feeding them bits of help, even though they could probably help them a lot more, just to keep them on side, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be seen to be doing a little bit.
That's what it is. It's all about keeping up appearances.
Shocking, because the worst thing is that Ukraine is not neither in the EU nor is it in NATO. So there's no, they're not part of the agreement which says that we have to help you if you're at war. Like if Russia invaded Poland, right, because it's a neighbouring country and it's like in the EU, you would be starting like a world war. Yeah. Because America, England, France, we'd all have to support them. Yeah. Because it's Ukraine and they're a bit rogue, not rogue, but they're not in that group. Nobody's helping them, and it's very sad because you see it and you feel it there in Ukraine. I mean, it's not a scary place to be, but it's weird to be in a country.
You've never felt scared while you've been there?
Not even remotely, but it's weird to be living in a country which is at war.
Have you seen much of that?
No, it's this is why it's interesting, because you imagine a war to be affecting the whole country. It's not. The front line is the front line. If you go there, you're going to see it, right? But you're not going to get there because there's going to be a load of army men, tanks saying, don't come here. Yeah. Especially if you're foreign. Maybe if you're local, you could say, oh, my house is in there. Yeah. Whatever. But it has directly affected people, because I work in a high school and I teach teenagers. And 8 or 9 of my students are refugees from the war. They're 13, 14, 15 years old, and they're able to tell me how they remember men coming and tanks coming through their village or their town, and within 5 or 6 weeks their family had packed up their bags and moved. And I tell these kids, like, because they're kids, like, they don't they just don't, they're adaptable
very,
they're kids,
very,
like, and they don't realize it, you know. But I'm like, you guys have been through something which not many people go through in their lives. You've fled from a war, and they say, yeah, these men, they came in these army men, but they had no badges on. And that's the whole point with this war, was that they were unbadged. They were military.
You didn't know who they were, really.
Yeah, allegedly they're Russian. They're from Russia, and they are supposed to be Russian separatists. But they're not funded or controlled by Putin's army. But just because they don't have a badge on their shirt doesn't mean that. Very clever. Yeah. Very, very, very clever. And if we're going to go into politics, which
not
we
really,
want to, but just to wrap up that story there, it's a really nasty situation, because Ukraine is these people in Ukraine, they're living the same lives that we are. They want the same things in life, and it's
nobody of these people want to be in a war, do they?
They don't deserve it, you know. They don't deserve it, and it also affects the economy and things like this too, you know, like the currency crashes because nobody wants to invest in the country.
It's part of the reason why the wages are so low as well.
Low wages are low, things are expensive in comparison to like international,
which leads to homelessness
products and leads to homelessness, you know. And so it's always all a chain reaction, you know. And it's sad to see that it's happening in such a great country, because it's to such good people. When you walk through the cities, you said there, have you seen it? I've not seen the war, but when I'm there when I travel to different cities, each city has boards, you know, where it shows all the men from that city who have died. Jesus. And these boards are huge. They're so long. Each city must have 1,000 people that are from each city, you know, that have died, you know, and you can feel it. You can feel it as I walk to school. There is a plaque for every person, and you see their face. There's a little plaque with the person's face and their name, and they've died because of all this stuff. And they're just like me and you know. The difference is it's a compulsory military out there,
national service.
So
harsh. Well, the other thing I was going to ask you about was Chernobyl. Have you seen the? I
haven't seen the series, but I'm
almost at the end of it. I'm almost at the end of it, but it's.
What's it like?
Grim, but obviously it's very realistic. I read up on it. It's been obviously well researched, so it's very true to what actually happened. But it's just grim. It's like you cannot believe that something like that would happen. People building nuclear power plants. They don't know how to shut them down. Really, in essence.
Yeah. What did it? Did it tell that? Do you feel like you've got your head around the story now? Like, what was
but basically, like you're getting a lot of higher power situations, like the music industry, when file sharing came in, the people at the top just didn't want to know. They just want to, no, it'll be fine. You know, and if someone tells them that it'll be fine, they just believe them. When really it's not fine. And if you listen to the people who are on the ground telling you that it's not going to be fine, then you could have done more stuff to make it not as bad. But
I think the worst part about it was that when it erupted, that they didn't say.
yeah,
This is what I hear. I hear because
it took longer than it should have to get the word out to start evacuating people, and you know it could have happened a lot quicker
Well, then you
because the people at the top didn't want to push the button to say it's not okay. Let's
Yeah.
get out of here. They just kind of, I don't know.
Well, they knew a disaster had happened, but people don't want to admit. Like, you can imagine it yourself. Like, you've just like spilt red wine on your friend's carpet, but for a minute you're like, how can I fix this without telling them? And then you realize you have to admit it, but for a minute you're like, how can I cover this up?
But also getting experts in to tell you what's really going on. So they tell you it's just bad. We need to get out of here. You need to do this. You need to do that. Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be all right. Like, why did you get them in the first place? You know, they just don't want to. They can't face the reality of it.
Yeah, it's scary. The only sort of, other than the fact that I meet a lot of people whose parents have been affected by it, people tell me that their mums and dads, they have thyroid problems and things like this, so it is affecting. And the kids also told me that you know, not exactly with much detail, that they have problems because of it too.
It's related. It's linked to cancer.
Yeah.
Huge increase in cancer.
So it's still affecting, and that's really sad. But the most interesting thing was we had a guy come to our school, to our school in Kiev. He was from Salford Uni in Manchester, and he spent the last 8 years, his PhD guy, studying Chernobyl, but studying the environmental effects of it. There's a lot of positive to be seen, and they're using it as a test bed.
Yeah.
You might have seen on the David Attenborough's Planet Earth 2, I think. They showed Chernobyl there as an example of, if you remember the last Planet Earth show was about how the damage we've done and what can we do to
rectify it.
Yeah, rectify it or limit the damage. And he's saying we use Chernobyl as an example of how when something is untouched, the Earth repairs itself.
Over time, yeah.
Chernobyl is nobody's living there.
No.
They have species living in the Chernobyl zone, in the contaminated zone.
Yeah.
That are not found anywhere else in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Elk, moose,
They're all
lynx.
like mutated and stuff and
Yeah.
morphed into other things. I
But
think the initial plan was that cut all the trees, dig up all the ground, and like turn it all over. Of a huge area. It was ridiculous, but that was kind of a national service thing where like we need men to do it, so these people have to do this. Otherwise, millions more will die if they don't do it.
Yeah. A lot of the guys who were working on putting out the disaster all died, which is horrible.
Over a long period of time, it's horrific. I remember, I think I watched the first 2 episodes, and for the next 2 days, I was really down. I was just like, I just lost my mojo.
I think that's why I haven't watched it. I haven't been there. So what's interesting is you can go there, right? And it's easy to get there. And maybe one day, Mark and Tech, you guys will come out and we'll go on a tour there, right?
I saw a thing, a documentary. There was a cafe there, or near there, Chernobyl Cafe.
13 quid flights, you guys, come on.
Can't say no to that.
The tour's about 100 quid, right? But it's a full day, and you know I've been there. This is my second year in Kiev, and obviously.
How far are you from it?
Oh, it's not far. It's less than 100 kilometers.
Right.
Looking at maybe an hour's drive or something.
Yeah.
You take a minibus. But I didn't go because I wasn't sure if it was safe. Everybody talking about this. I meet a lot of tourists there in bars and things like this, and they're all going there, but no one really knows, is it safe to go or not? And when this man from Salford Uni came, I asked him that question. Tell me, is it safe? And he said it is. If you take an official tour, and the tours are run by they're accredited, they're run by the government and things like this. It's not just like some
random
fella just takes you in there and you just wander around.
Yeah.
No, like it's all organized. You know, there's routes and things like that. He said that you'll face less radiation on the tour than you would on a normal flight from Manchester to Kiev. It's safe. So that's really good to know. He said actually that they're finding now that there's a lot of the zones which were classed as contaminated, they're not contaminated, so they can actually open them up back to the countries to use again because they're safe. Because in the 80s they didn't know.
So I take the area of the actual plant will never be.
No, of course not. But there's like three zones. You maybe like a red zone, which would be highly,
Mm.
an orange zone,
Yeah.
a yellow zone, and then there's an area which probably they think is yellow, but actually now it could be green. It could be
Yeah.
clear.
But just to be safe, we'll stay out of it.
Yeah. So as long as you know, and I think as long as you're not in there for too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm glad. It was grim viewing. It made me depressed in some stages, but I'm glad I saw it because I think it's history. It's important to put things into perspective like that. Like if there probably is, like if there was documentaries about the First and Second World War, I would watch more of stuff like that just from watching Chernobyl, just because it like puts history into your head more realistically than from a textbook or a history teacher who doesn't like teaching history.
Yeah. Well,
which is why you never paid attention in the first place.
Yeah. Well, you're learning, but it's making it more interesting, right?
Yeah, brings it to life and puts it in your consciousness, and you don't take it for granted. Like, oh yeah, the Second World War, whatever. You go, no, the fucking Second World War.
But this is again, coming back to traveling, this is what you learn, because we learn at school the history of what happened here, things, but you start traveling, you start seeing what's happening in other places. Cambodia, again, such an interesting one, because they had one of the worst genocides of the 20th century. Pol Pot,
Pol Pot, yeah.
Holiday in Cambodia, dead Kennedys, yeah. Pol Pot, 2 million people he killed in the 80s, in the 70s. Sorry,
you can't even imagine that. You're like, how did you even do that?
Like 40% of the population or something, like just
Crazy.
wiped them out, man. And when I was there, and you can visit the areas. They have a place called the Killing Fields, where it was one of many hundreds of sites where the dictators killed these people. And you can walk around, and they show the trees where they would beat the children against to kill them, and they say that these were fields which nobody knew that they were burial sites, because the whole regime, this Khmer regime with Pol Pot, they covered it up,
Oh yeah.
They did one, and farmers are there, and next thing that the rains come, monsoon season, and bones start washing up. And as you walk around this site now, as in like when you visit these places, they're just there's not a lot there, just lots of trees and areas which are cordoned off, and but as you look really carefully, you can see teeth and bones. There's little ones. If you look really carefully, there'll be a tooth there. And you're not allowed to touch. You're obviously not allowed to pick it up, but there's signs that say if you see, it's quite common, because there was 30,000 people killed here. Anyway, it's kind of miserable, but you can. It's a horrendous history, and I think that we need to appreciate this too by visiting these places, because when you think about it, World War II seems like quite a long time ago, like maybe 100 years ago now, or at least World War One. But the Khmer dictatorship in Cambodia was only in the late 70s.
It's nothing. None of it is that long when you think about it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm gonna have to take a piss.
All right.
Tell the story of how you got duped by a woman.
Good place to start. Well, Marc was saying that he got robbed, and he found his wallet on the floor. Well, my story started in the same way. One day I was in a chippy with my friend. Oh, my bank card's on the floor. What's going on? Oh, my friend said, "Oh, you must have just dropped it." My friend, I say, "Must have dropped it." Oh, no, I put it in my pocket. I'm starting from the end of the story here. Check my bank balance. All my money's gone. My money's gone. Well, I was only like 21. It's like 300 quid. All my money at the time, And I start going back, thinking about this day. This day where this money had gone. Finding my bank card on the floor. How did this happen? This very clever girl who I met one day, who claimed to be my friend, she had said to me, "Can I borrow your phone?" And I said, yeah, you can borrow my phone. And she said, "What's the PIN number?" And I told her the PIN, obviously. And she said, "Oh, is that your bank PIN number, And I went, yeah, it is, same number. She said, "Oh, don't worry, I do the same thing." It was kind of stupid, but it was. I'll be honest, it was. And then she knew. She only had to, somehow, I don't know how, had to get my wallet out of my pocket. And we'd been touring around in the car somewhere. Maybe my wallet had been on the side. At some point she'd picked it out and got what she wanted. So can't trust anyone nowadays, Mark. It's you got to be careful. You got to have your wits about you, for sure.
Stories like that, people need to know people like this exist. These things happen. You got to have your wits about you.
Well, they say it happens to people who are too friendly. Mark. I think this is it.
Yeah.
If
too trusting.
You got to be. So, Mark, you were saying that you hadn't drunk alcohol for how long?
Coming up 4 months now.
Wow. How do you feel?
Great. Felt so much better.
Awesome.
Lost a little bit of weight.
Nice. It's hard to know the difference.
Oh, really? I was just because I was getting to the habit of just like having a pint a night or 2 pints a night, and it's just like for no real reason, just because they were there. She's like, "Sure, a pint? Yeah, why not?" But then you wake up in the morning, you've got a bad head, or you don't feel as good as you normally do, and it's happening more and more. You think, I don't really need alcohol. It's become a habitual or ritual type thing. So I thought, well, I'll go for a week without it. This was in like September or something like that. So I was like, I got to a week and I thought, well, I'm feeling pretty good. I'll do 2 weeks. And then I was like, I'll go to the end of the month. And then I've just not felt like drinking. Last night we went out to see Star Wars. Everyone's drinking. I was like, no, I'm alright. I'll have an orange juice, please. I've just kind of got used to that.
If you don't feel drawn to it, then there's no point in forcing it, I
felt it was like a negative thing on my life, so I thought, well, I'll just cut that out for a while and see what happens.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'll never drink again. Like, I'm going out with friends in a few days during the day. So I'm like, I might have a drink then. I'm not at work the next day. I've got nothing on.
Open to the
idea. So
idea.
that's a time when why not?
Mm-hmm. It's hard to know. So right now I'm celebrating about 500 days with no alcohol.
Boom.
Yeah, like a year and a half. And it was the same thing for me. I didn't expect that I never had a problem. People ask, that's always the question people ask when you're not drinking. Like, oh, I'm sorry to ask, but like, did you have a problem? Well, that's a fair question. No, I didn't have a problem other than the fact other than I knew how to have too much fun.
Oh, like, other than it makes me feel like shit.
yeah, but the same as everybody. We're all in the same boat, For me, I was dating a girl who didn't drink alcohol, and I think that your friends and the people you're surrounded by can be the biggest influence on you. And because I was spending most of my time with somebody who didn't drink, it was not coming into my life so much. So that was a start for me. But actually, as you get older, you handle it differently too. Like I used to be as crazy as any other guy. I used to get into trouble, go to punk gigs, like whatever, like do normal crazy stuff. But as you in your late 20s, if you're still doing crazy stuff or still getting into trouble, it doesn't feel so cool anymore.
No. I remember you saying about when you go and see old friends, like uni friends or something like that, and they're still doing the same stuff as you're doing at uni, but like we're not at uni anymore.
yeah, and each
makes you realise.
Each to their own, But what changed it for me was, and this is like a stupid story, but Soulfest, our local folk festival, like any other festival, it's crazy, and everybody's going crazy. But I hadn't been drinking a lot, but I'd been in Slovakia for 2 years, and I really wanted to go big. I was like, my home festival, home friends, see all the old boys and go wild. And I did, same as I always did. But I felt like it affected me differently. Or there was at least signs which I would have ignored in the past, which I didn't think, which suddenly hit me quite hard. I woke up in the morning with a sore face. Right. I don't know why I woke up in the sore. I woke up no memory, as everybody does. Yeah. But I just woke up with a sore face. Oh, why did I wake up with a sore face? What happened last night? Did I walk into something, or did I get punched? That scared me, Mark.
Not knowing.
I never lost my memory like that before, but I couldn't remember anything. And my face hurt. And that's a scary thought. When you're a kid, like if you did something stupid last night,
you don't give a shit.
Whatever. But like, I don't want to. I want to find out the truth of what happened, and all of a sudden, I'm pretty sure I just walked into one of these tent ropes or something. But it was the thought of what it could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been worse, Yeah. And I just had the memory when I woke up this morning of hanging out with Goldie Luck and Shane in the backstage area. You remember Goldie Looking Chain, yeah?
Yeah.
Goldie Looking Chain out.
That's right. Your mother's got a penis.
I think they were headlining there this year, and I stupidly ended up backstage, and I'm just having crack with the guys in Goldie Looking Chain, and I'm not proud of this, by the way, but you know, the owner of the festival, or at least the stage manager, comes in. He says they'd obviously just arrived, like ready for their set, and he's like, "Hey boys, what drinks can I get you?" And the boys are like, "Oh, gin and tonic, whatever, cocktail." And I'm like, "Oh, gin and tonic too, please." He goes, "Who are you?" He goes, "Get out of here." I'm like, "See you later." And it's a funny story, but I felt so stupid again, you know, and that combined with the typical hangover you get, which gets older. For me, that was enough. Like, you know what? Do I like the person I am? You know, things have got to enhance you.
Yeah.
Does it enhance me or does it not enhance me? Does drinking still enhance you if you drink? Does it make you feel? Does it make you a better person?
No, I think. Well, I like to just have a couple of drinks, a few drinks. I can stop at that and just be merry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't let myself get blind drunk where I can't remember anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, I don't like to lose control.
But if you're like a, you know, we're all different, and what works for you isn't going to work for Tech, isn't going to work for me. We're all
Exactly.
different. Like, if you're more like introverted, and alcohol helps you have some
definitely.
confidence, that's a great thing. On the other hand,
that's Mr. Hetfield.
yeah,
He's back in rehab now.
yeah,
But that's what it was for him. He was the most introverted people to say ever, but a few beers, go on stage, different person. And that's what it is for a lot of people. It allows them to do things that maybe sober they wouldn't do. They couldn't get over the line to do something.
So if you know, that's it. So if it enhances you, then great. If it does good things for you, but if you're like somebody like me, who's, as I've grown up, I found myself pretty, you know, extroverted, and alcohol only makes it even more.
Yeah.
And it takes you across the line, and you find yourself getting into trouble or talk, you know, in places that you shouldn't be. It's not good. And that's a simple rule for me. Is it enhancing me? And it's not just with alcohol, just with anything, you know.
I think it's also being able to recognise that and do something about it. That takes character.
Yeah, and most people they don't see this, you know. And each to their own. This is the thing. But for me, I want to be myself.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the hardest thing to be, is to be yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
To be at your best with nothing else enhancing.
Be
you.
100% comfortable just being you and not trying to please anybody else or be this or be that. You're probably right. It's one of the hardest things to do, and especially if you be someone in the media, that's probably even harder to try and be yourself.
If you're
and make that your selling point is just you.
If you're a sportsman, Mark, you know, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the champion of the world with enhanced, or you want to be the champion of the world?
Exactly.
Really, just knowing it was really you know.
Yeah.
And I know that what I want to achieve in my life, and I know I want to be the best at what I want to do. I know I want to be successful in my own goals. But what I want to do, I also want to be successful in my friendships and my love life. But I want it to be me that achieved this. Yeah, you know,
not a version of me that's trying to be something else, someone else.
Yeah, I had a conversation with my friend last week, and you know, a single lady friend, and she tells me that she doesn't drink when she goes on dates. And I thought it's such an interesting philosophy. She said, "Well,
that's good. That's good.
I want to make the right decisions first. Like, I don't want to end up in a place or doing something I didn't."
She sounds smart.
Smart guy, only. I'm only friends with smart people. Mark, you know?
Yeah.
It's why you guys are here. Why I'm here. But also, you're in a dating situation. You're looking at meeting, let's say, the love of your life, or just a new friend. You want it to be you that you met this person, not an enhanced version. I think so many people build relationships.
They put on an act, don't they?
Building.
Because when you do that, then now you've got to keep it up. Now you've this pressure on you to keep it up. It's like false personas on social media. They create this person, the persona that's not them. So then their battle in life is to keep it up. Everything's perfect, everything's great, when we all know it's not great all the time.
Can't keep it up. And how many relationships are probably started on being drunk? Because it's so easy when you're drunk, you know. Yeah. You're laughing, you're giggling, you're doing crazy stuff. But then all of a sudden, you've very rarely spent any time with each other sober. And then you realise that maybe you have nothing in common.
Yeah. But the alcohol's going to confuse that. and you never really got to the bottom of all that. It's just
sets the standard for the
Yeah.
and I this is again like, so for me, you may say, well, I've said there why I don't drink, but Mark, I started off with one reason for not drinking, and that was originally because I dated a girl who didn't drink. But now, one reason turned into 100 reasons. You might find the same thing. You might have already found the same thing. You find more reasons to go on. Or the other way, you might find less reasons. You might decide that you don't want to be sober anymore. But for me, coming up to 500 days, my one reason's turned into 100 reasons, I'm not making stupid decisions at music festivals anymore and getting myself into trouble.
I've had the same phone for 2 years. Woohoo!
Yeah. I'm able to go out and meet my friends without, I haven't lost any friends.
That's an achievement for you right there.
Yes. I'm able to make friends as myself. And people know that when they've met me, they like me and not an enhanced.
I think that's a great idea about a first date with no alcohol. As
As
scary as it may sound, I think it's probably the good idea. Because it's going to be the real. You'll both be nervous, but it'll both be the real you.
It's the hardest thing.
No one putting on. It's like what they say about when a boyfriend goes to meet the potential in-laws for the first time. It's the classic, hello, piece of cake, yes please. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not them.
Listen, right, I was nervous before coming here, right? Of course, this is the first time I've been on a podcast, right? It's the first time I've done anything like this, and it would have been so easy to have a drink. They would have taken the edge off. It doesn't matter what it is. Drinking takes the edge off. And right, fair enough. If that works for you, it would have worked for me right now. Could have come in here.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have been a bit shaky, probably like I felt at the start. But so what? Next time I'm put in a nervous situation, you won't feel so nervous because you overcome it.
You managed to do that, yeah.
If you just mask it, that fear doesn't go away.
But it's also okay to be in an uncomfortable situation or be out of your comfort zone or feel nervous or have to struggle through something, because it's something to always be learned.
It is. But if you do it enough, it'll eventually get better.
Of course.
And if you mask it with alcohol, this is, again, I'm not trying to preach this on anybody, but this is what's going on in my head all the time,
I think we've both been talking from our own perspective, not trying to say what anybody else would do.
No, I really follow this philosophy with everything, Mark. Like, each to their own, I'm going to do myself, and it doesn't... Of course, I don't want people to do bad things, and if somebody wants help, then they can ask. Or I'll say to them, I'm a big believer in asking questions, and I think that sales taught me that, and same with teaching. Like, you can ask somebody advice, for example. I realize that people don't like advice.
Yeah.
It's very easy when somebody's having a problem to start giving them advice. But I think the best thing to do is just to ask, would you like help with this? And if they say yes, then that's great. But the worst thing you can do is give people advice if they didn't want it.
But you also get people like that who, that's their thing, is to try and give advice and tell people, you should do it this way, you should do that, well, you should try that. But some people don't like to hear it, do they?
To push your ideas on other...
Depends if it's something you know about. Like, if I was getting advice from someone who's an expert in something, I wouldn't dismiss it. Even if I if I disagreed with it, I'd still listen to everything they had to say and make my own mind up about if they're right or not.
Can be a hard pill to swallow, though. Yeah, okay. If you've gone out your way to speak to this person, then you've gone out your way. But I mean, if your mate is a clever psychologist or something, and you're having a psychological problem, and he starts putting on you, you're probably going to expect it.
But every situation is a chance to learn something. It's like, why do we ask questions in the first place? I'm always asking questions. Like, those annoying children. Why does it do that? Why? What for? Why? I'm kind of still like that as an older man.
You are, Marc.
I always go, why does that? Why do we pronounce that word when it's spelled that way? Like things like that all the time. I'm always googling things. Why is this that? Why is that that?
Well, you were always good. You were always good at conversation, Marc. That's probably why you've got a podcast. But I remember, for anyone who doesn't know, me and Marc were in the same band.
Yes.
And I was one of the bass players in Dynamo.
Yep.
And when we play gigs, you would speak to everybody, and I was so self-involved with. I was a bit younger, and I was just seeing it as like it was so. I took the music very seriously.
Am I 10 years older than you?
29.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm almost. Well, say 9 years older than you.
I took the music seriously, of course I did, but I was also enjoying like the we're in bars every night, in Manchester and Newcastle and Nottingham. But what you were doing, Marc, I noticed, was you were speaking to people. We were in Grand Central, And while I'm at the bar or just cracking on with some stranger, you're talking to like
The
Luke
promoter or the
Appleton,
manager, or yeah.
Sector Records, or
Asking questions.
yeah, but you're building a relationship.
Yeah.
And I know this because I've had a career in sales, and I believe that building relationships are very important.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why they wanted to sign why the record deal came about.
Of course they did, because you spoke to them. If they didn't know you, they wouldn't have signed you, you know. But if you put yourself there, and then they realize, hang on, this guy's more than just a musician. Like, we like this guy. We can work with him.
Well, I think early on I realised that you could be the best band in the world, but if you're a bunch of tossers, no one's going to want to work with you.
Which we definitely were not.
No. Bunch of nice lads.
Yeah, good lads.
We weren't out of hand, you know. We never spoke ill of anyone. We were always polite and nice. And got on with the job and
mostly on time.
Turned up on time and did what we had to do.
We did our best, man. I mean, you know, it was a really good time. And you know, I always think about this a lot. I mean, it's been... I left the band in 2013, I think. And I left the band to pursue my career, which was ultimately
was the right decision because it's led you to where you are now.
It was, and I was just always that guy, you know. Like, I was always that guy. I never wanted to live in Cumbria either. That was the thing. Yeah. Like, I always wanted to escape. It was just the right time, and it was right for everybody because you know, Dynamo went on to fantastic things and wrote 2 amazing albums after that. But the point was I forgot what we were talking about.
Doesn't matter. You were just moving the conversation onto the fact that we used to be in a band together.
The point was, I think that our success was built on our relationship, and I always think this, you know, is that it was that chemistry, which it was instant. Yeah, it was instant from the moment that I met you, and from the moment I met Steve, and I was already friends with Steve before, and same with Gaz, and same with Kev. Like, that chemistry is you can't make that. It's not musicianship, you know.
Yeah. It's another part of it that needs to be there, as well as the music side of it.
Yeah, because that's what makes you enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, it has to be fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If it's not fun, then something's got to give.
And it was fun.
It was absolutely fun.
Really fun, man. What's your memories of these old original days? Do you still think about them?
Oh yeah, quite often. Yeah, especially when like when you think about the original songs that we wrote and the first EP that we recorded. When none of us knew what the hell we were doing.
This laptop in front of me, you'll never believe it. This was the same laptop I used when I was in Dynamo.
Right.
All the old demos.
Of course, yeah.
Songs. Everybody listening, Dynamo fans here. Songs, unreleased songs right here. If you pay me enough, you can have them. Occasionally I listen to them, you know. Occasionally I listen to them, and I'm like, wow. That was the original demo that got us to this. Got us to recording this song.
Yeah, we had some good demos that helped us get quite far. We were quite lucky to be able to record demos at a decent quality.
You mean because of you? Because you knew how to record decent demos?
I knew how to program drums, and you know that saved us a lot of time and money, and then bass and stuff like that. But it was an advantage that we used and to success, really.
Well, yeah, of course. And when we went into the studio to record Blueprint, we were practiced. We were really rehearsed, and
you only had a window of time to basically execute the songs. It wasn't like, let's fuck about and see let's try this, let's try that. It's like, no, we've written the songs, we've performed them, we've rehearsed them, go in and record them and get out.
I smashed every song in 3 takes. I don't know if that's normal, that's good or bad, but each song, you know, okay, we only had
we were
songs,
paying for it out of our own pocket as well, so time was money, and
it was like 3
was
times.
Huge pressure.
One time, I'm sorry, another time.
Because I remember talking to other bands, and they were shocked that we were spending so much money on a recording, and I was like, yeah, but at the end of the day, that's all you're going to have to push you forward, and people make snap judgments when they hear your music, and if they hear some shitty... The song might be good. It's like I spoke to Rosie about Falling Red's first ever thing. It was horrible. The sound completely ruined the songs. But when you heard the songs live, that's a great song.
Yeah. Looks like trouble.
But I remember I had the packaging. My mate did the packaging, and I remember all the design and everything. Like, it looked the part, but when you listen to it, like... So they spent the money. They put the money on the visual side of it, not the recording side of it. Which, looking back, they regret. They don't want. They're like, let's never talk about that again. You should destroy all those copies.
You should check if you still have this album. I swear I borrowed this original Fallen Red album off you for nostalgic values, and I never.
So you've got it. Yeah, that's mine. Yeah. There's not much on it. It's like black with a little red.
It's there's some, I don't know, some person, some fictional character.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember this because my friend had the tattoo. She was one of the girlfriends of one of the bands. You're right. It needs to have the quality.
So if I was talking to someone young now, thinking about doing that, I would still put that as a priority, because whatever you do, whatever's left at the end of the day is the music. So if it's really good, then you're likely to listen to it again, or you'll be proud of it. Whereas if it doesn't sound good and you know you could have and you didn't, you're probably gonna like not be bothered about
the
it.
proof is in the pudding, Mark. You know, I still occasionally will listen. I still show people our music. Of course I do. It's one of the greatest achievements in my life. You know, to have this incredible album which I recorded, and the quality is so good. Really, that's my favorite thing. The bass solos on that they just sounded perfect. Yeah,
and we had to scrimp and save and sacrifice so many things.
The drums, man, the drum sounds so. Every part of it is absolutely fantastic. And if we'd gone to a cheaper studio, we wouldn't have that. You know, you always said like it needs to be good enough to go on the radio. If it couldn't go on Radio 1, not that it ever will.
No, yeah.
But if it couldn't, it's not worth it.
I just meant like in terms of the quality of it. It needs to match up. To that.
Yeah, of course.
And it did.
These were good, and you know, you got to think about the work that went in. You know, you forget that once you have momentum, like anything in life, starting a car from riding a bike from 0 to 10 miles an hour takes the most energy. Once you're up to 10, it's easier to get to 20. You know, actually, the work that we put in at the beginning, or even you did before I joined, like that probably takes the most amount of work in the band.
The groundwork, yeah.
I mean, having to sort through lineups and people, relationships,
trying to arrange rehearsals, trying to get people to
yeah, man, I always remember so well, like I'm there working in my working for Peugeot as salesman, working behind the desk, and you'd pop in at, like on a job like at
we were basically having a band meeting at your work time
around my desk and you'd be like, how's it going? And I'm like, I got these T-shirt designs here. I'm sat there just sketching them behind, you know. I got Excel spreadsheet with like budgets and travel, and I'm like, look, we got this van. We can get this van, you know, for touring.
I thought you were good. You were good on the logistics side of it. I remember once we played Satan's Hollow in Manchester, and we were taking the minibus with some fans in. And you'd done an itinerary, and you print it off for everyone, and it says, this is what time we need to be there, this is what time this band's playing, this is how much this is what time that is.
It's so important,
and it was good.
You know? I mean,
it's good.
There's two great memories in our 2 or 3 years that we were doing that was the bus that we took. We had a full bus, a coach.
A coach.
Came to watch us at the O2 Academy in Newcastle.
Yeah.
That's a coach, man. It's like 50 people. It's like half an aeroplane load of people.
That was cool.
55 people or something, you know, and then Satan's Hollow in Manchester, a minibus. You know, these are people who paid money in their time to come and see us, to see something which we created for fun. Dude,
which 2 years before didn't exist. Yeah,
dude,
crazy.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And
that's what I'm saying. Looking back now, obviously we've got the memories, but in terms of our legacy is the music and the CDs and stuff online, obviously. And I'm glad we spent the time and the money making it as good as it was. Proud of that.
Me too. And you know, at the end of the day, like I always believe that, like you know, success. Well, success is personal. Success is the definition. This definition of success is achieving your goals. And do you feel like you achieved what you want? Did you get out of your time in a band? Did you get out of it what you wanted?
Yeah.
Did
absolutely.
you achieve your goals?
That and more.
More, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was.
Any stone unturned, or
no? I don't think so.
No, I feel the same.
No, it was short, but it was exactly how we did exactly everything that I wanted to do, including like later on when we went abroad and doing a music video and stuff like that. All the stuff that only thing like, or maybe not having a CD in a shop, and we never got to see that. But small things, really.
That's the thing, you know. Me watching from the sidelines, like Dynamo did a lot in a very short amount of time. Yeah, this is the thing, and there was quality there. Like I listened to tracks, you know, and they were good. They were really good, and it doesn't matter how long it lasted. You know, the music is what matters.
Yeah.
Maybe there's other things.
It's what is the product of all that, what you did at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Does it hold up? And in my opinion, it does.
Well, I think it just. The most important thing is did you get out of it what you wanted to get out of it?
Yeah.
That's the be all and end all.
I mean,
you know?
the last one, Destruction Complete, was 100% just the band. We had no management, we had no record label, and it ended up being the best thing we ever did, you know, in terms of how many it sold and merchandise and people coming to gigs and how many gigs we did on the tour and stuff like that. So for me, it ended perfectly, just at the right time.
And for me, like, just playing in Manchester, like that was a dream come true for me. Like it doesn't matter if it's a pub, like if you're playing to a packed pub on a Friday night in Manchester, like one of the music capitals of the world, you know, you're not talking about, you know, it doesn't matter if it's what city it is. We're in England, like, you know, rock and roll, like home, you know, you're playing in Manchester on a Friday night. What playing's real people, and they're digging what you're doing. Yeah, that for me is huge. It doesn't matter if it was 1,000 people. I think we played 1,000 people in the O2 Academy in Newcastle, or 100 or 20 just passionate people in a pub in Manchester or in Preston. It's all good, you know.
Yeah, when you look back to all those early photos, because there was always a good photographer, it seemed, at these gigs, early gigs. And there was one where we played downstairs in the, what was it called? We had to take all the gear downstairs into like a basement where we were playing.
In Manchester?
Yeah. Was it the Star and Garter?
No, Retro Bar.
Retro Bar, yeah. That was a really good gig. It was packed.
That was sick.
That was half people we brought and half,
yeah.
I don't know who they were.
Bands, I want to say Imagine Dragons, but that's a different band. They were called...
Chasing Dragons.
Yeah. 3 Girls or
They were
something.
really good. Really good.
Yeah, I think they're still going now.
That's the other thing, you're saying about talking to people. I always made an effort to talk to the bands as well, and like, especially if I liked them and I thought they were good. You never know when it might come back around.
The key to success, Mark, is you've got to be doing that, you know. We all know plenty of amazing musicians who are not doing that side of things, and if they're happy where they are, that's fine. But there's missed opportunities, you know.
Yeah, I remember. I'm not one for ranting on Facebook about stuff that's, you know, if I feel hard done by something, I would talk to the people involved. But there was one time we played in Bolton, the Alma, is it?
I don't know Bolton.
And it was a young band who'd come and they didn't have any amps. So I said, I said, you can borrow our gear, you know, saves, because it's quite a small stage, saves setting up. And they didn't thank us for letting them use our gear. They didn't even watch our set. They spent the whole night in the back just smoking, played their set and then just disappeared. You know what I mean? And I didn't have a go at them specifically, but I just put some sort of rant on about respecting the musicians and supporting other musicians and stuff. That was the only time when I couldn't hold it back anymore.
No, but you know, you've got to have some respect, and you know, we all know that there were so many gigs where bands turn up, you know, because I used to run gigs too, and people turn up with no stuff. Yeah. And you know, there needs to be some sharing. Like, I think we need some camaraderie.
Yeah. Well, they were quite a young band, so half of me wanted to like give them a lecture about what you should do, but then I didn't want to be that old fart who's like, what does he know, you know, sort of thing.
Oh no, we've had some things like this when I played.
Having conversations like this helps if young musicians are listening. It's like, don't be a dickhead.
Yeah. But there's
people don't want to work with people like that.
Dude, I'm a high school teacher, right? And I get, you know, my students are 13, 14, 15 years old, and they're amazing, you know, and they're at that age where you can just, it feels like yesterday you were that age. Maybe just me, but I see myself in them. And these kids at that age, you're really so passionate about everything. Yeah. You know,
you're passionate about what you're into.
Right? And these kids are so passionate about their thing. Yeah, whether it be K-pop music, Korean pop, which I heard you talking about on the podcast. You didn't know what it was. No. K-pop, huge like revolution of pop music coming out of Korea. Kids are loving it, man, and they're obsessed, like Spice Girls were in the 90s. Like, kids are crazy about it. It doesn't matter whether you like K-pop, or whether you like rock, or you like hip hop. But these kids, they have their subcultures. But the rockers, I show them pictures of our band. I show them the music. They think it's so cool that their teacher was in a rock band.
Yeah.
And they asked me, they asked me such a great question. How do we start a band? I never asked this question to anybody, but I love that question. It's a great question to ask, because if you don't ask, you don't get. Yeah. And I got to. It makes me feel old, you know, but I got to give them the advice.
Makes me feel old at 29.
Well, you know, I'm a retired musician now. You know, the best I get is a bit of karaoke on a Saturday night. Like, anyway, but they asked me this question, and then they asked me to join the band. Sorry, guys, I'm too far. But I did say to them, I will guide you through this. And I said, like, my advice to them was like, just pick some songs and learn. I say, even if you can't play guitar or whatever, just try and start learning the song.
Or get some lessons or something. Learn the basics.
But I didn't know how to play guitar when I started my bands. I asked for the bass, my bass guitar, but I learned it while we were creating the music, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you can create something from nothing, you know. And it's exciting. Yeah. It's a nice part about the job, getting to be the mentor as well as the teacher.
Yeah, you're more than just a teacher.
Yeah, it's interesting, these kids, because they are the kids in Ukraine. They're more open-minded. You've been talking on the podcast about the future of rock music and things like that. We're all talking about future headliners. Out there, they're a bit more old school. A lot of my kids love metal, which I've never worked in a high school in England, but I swear it wouldn't be like this. So many kids, I love rock. It's one of my students. She's 13. She's like tiny, blonde, looks like a doll, you know, little tiny little girl. I said, asking all the students at the start of the year, like, questions about them. What music do you like? I'm just trying to find out stuff that they like so I can prepare good lessons. What kind of music do you like? She's like, I hate pop. What kind of music do you like then? She's like, heavy metal. What's your favorite band? Metallica and AC/DC. So many kids say this. I'm like, you're 13. Where did you get this from? But in Ukraine, they love rock music out there. And one thing I've noticed, that they don't just love rock. Everybody loves rock music, but they don't only love rock music. Out there, they just love everything. It's not like here where you've got like rockers and pop people. Like, you've got
it's
people.
a lot more about the image side of it over here. What's cool at the moment? That's what I like.
Yeah, I think
What's
if I asked
popular?
all my kids, they would say that they like rock music.
Yeah.
They like other stuff more, but you know, that's definitely not like I don't like rock music, or I don't like, you know.
Yeah.
It's
not my thing. That's okay.
Yeah. Out there, we're not so spoilt for gigs like we are here.
I was going to say, yeah, you're quite central to a lot of stuff that goes on.
Well,
Not central, but within distance, you can get to big gigs. And small
I
gigs.
live in the capital city, so you know there's always stuff going on. But
What's the big venue near you?
in Kiev?
Yeah, or just in general.
Well, they have a stadium, you know, football.
Right. So all the big bands come through there.
They have the Premier League stadium there. They had the Premier League final in there. So they even like had in the past Metallica played there once. You know,
So
Rolling
when
Stones
big
played.
bands come do their world tour, is Ukraine often on that list or not?
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like they could play there, but they don't, because they don't get. If let's just call them tier 1 bands, tier ones, the top bands in the world. Yeah,
Has
they don't come.
Has
to
the war
Ukraine.
got anything to do with it at the moment?
Definitely,
Right.
no doubt about it. But people haven't got. It's probably just not the money to book them kind of bands.
True.
Plus,
True.
You know, bands they don't even come to countries like Poland or even to, you know, sort of thing like that. You know, they're these biggest bands. They just go to the biggest countries.
Hit the big
you know.
spots.
But what's interesting is that there is loads of venues, but we get the like second or third tier bands, like not the biggest,
Like Annihilator.
second biggest. Yeah, or
Annihilator always play Poland.
That's right. Something like Annihilator would be a great example. And what's exciting is, for me as a music fan, I'm now seeing bands which I would never have gone to see in England, because I spent all my money on the Metallica ticket or the Guns N' Roses ticket or the Rammstein ticket. But no, I'm like, okay, I haven't got Guns N' Roses, Metallica or Rammstein to go see in Kiev, but I have got black metal band from Norway, Dark Funeral or something, or I have got Ukrainian heavy metal band Ginger, or you know, we haven't got Rammstein, but we've got Lindemann, the singer from Rammstein, doing his solo. Because when that's all there is, that's what you have to go to, and then you start checking out bands that you would never have seen.
Yeah.
I
realise it's just as rewarding.
Of course it is. In fact, I just did something that I think I'd never done in my whole life last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago. I wanted to go to a gig, so I looked on the ticket website. There's a Ukrainian concert tickets website. I flicked through, and I just found... I'm a heavy metal fan. I like to see heavy metal bands, you know. So I just looked until I found a heavy metal band. I checked them out. I listened to them. I liked them. I booked the ticket. So instead of going, I really like this band, so I'm going to go... I already like them, and I'm going to wait for them to come on tour. I'm going to go see them. No, I actually looked for a gig. Found... Oh, excuse me. Found the band, liked them, booked the ticket. didn't almost know anything about them. But in the week coming up to the gig, I had the opportunity to listen to their back catalogue.
Yeah.
The gig absolutely slayed. It was amazing, you know? Like, I've never done that before. Why would I need to do that in England? In England, I'm spoilt for choice. We have all the gigs we want to go to.
Yeah. So you have to sort of, there's so much choice, you have to sort of say, well, I'm only going to go to that, and I'm only going to go to that, and I'm only going to that. So it eliminates the possibility of freedom of choice, almost.
Or sometimes there is no choice. The thing is that there just isn't the bands that you know, I mean, it is hard. It's a hard pill to swallow when, you know, you see you're living over there and there's a lot of bands that you're missing out on. But I created a new rule in the last 4 years. Because I felt so disappointed missing all these great tours that are happening in England every day. Okay, I'm going to stop going to see bands I've already seen before.
Yeah.
I've already seen every band I ever wanted to see. There's only a couple I haven't seen.
And they're not going anymore, so...
Sorry, not every band, but
I've seen all the main ones.
I've seen all the main ones.
And the ones that you aren't going anymore.
So you know what? Like next year I want to go to this many gigs, right? I'm not going to go and see Pearl Jam again for the 10th time, or go see, you know, Slipknot for the 10th time. No, like, I'm going to go see this other band that I haven't seen before, who they might not be my favourite, but I bet they'd be cool to see. You know?
Yeah. But have you been to festivals? Big festivals?
Not
in
out
Europe?
there, I haven't. Oh, sorry, in Europe I have, yeah. Last year I went to the Rock Virtual Festival in Belgium. Worst festival ever.
Oh.
Shocking.
In terms of what?
It was, first of all, I mean, it's hot, man. You know, Belgium, Europe, it's
middle of summer. Yeah.
Somebody really disagreed with my opinion about this on Facebook, by the way. Said a British person loved this festival. It was way too hot. There's no shelter.
You couldn't escape the sun.
Just nowhere to hide. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I should have brought a sun brolly or something. But that was one issue. But it was so commercial. I've never seen anything like it. It was like everything was just designed to get your money. Sometimes you're not going to a festival just to watch the bands. Like, you want to go to entertainment, and usually at festivals, like, there's some activities to do, even like fairground rides, that sort of thing.
But everything's overpriced.
But everything was every activity for fun, which wasn't music related, was a promotion from a company. So, for example, it was let me think, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola had an activity where you can participate and do something. Oh, I can't remember. It was like some silly, like a bouncy castle. Imagine if it was bouncy castle. I can't remember what it was. Like something silly, but it's promoting Coca-Cola while you're doing it, like a photo booth or something.
Yeah.
And the next one is the Magnus Entertainment. Magnus have like something else, but it was just so everything was like they're just trying to get your money, or they're trying to promote something here. You know, everywhere you turn is an advert. You imagine this?
Yeah, over commercialized.
Over commercialized. So expensive too.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. They overprice things. Everything costs money that wouldn't normally cost money, or everything that you used to cost twice as much as you used to paying for it. Like food, obviously, can overpriced. Because what else are you going to do?
They had digital, what would you call it? Like you had to
like credit cards.
No, it was
prepaid.
Cashless. Though. It was cashless service, and you get you've got your wristband, and on your wristband is barcode.
Yeah.
Before the festival, you top up your barcode with money.
You can put like 100 quid on it.
100 quid on it, but there's no refund. So once you put the money on, you have to rinse every bit of it. So
that's how the bastards get you.
That's a clever one. So you're at the end of the festival like, what can I buy for £1? You know, can't get your money back. Secondly,
that's how they make some money.
Once to top it up, it's like an exchange rate sort of thing. So you top it up before the festival, you get a slightly better deal. But if you top it up on the day, you pay even more.
Shafted.
So you're at the festival. Obviously, you didn't put enough money on your wristband,
of
or
course.
Even you forgot to top it up because maybe you didn't realise because you didn't read the information. Then on the day and the work worked out. It was easily 10 quid a meal. It was 10 everything you bought, like a reasonably sized meal that would even slightly fill up your stomach, was a solid tenner. Like, it was silly.
I remember being at Download a few years ago and like 2 quid for a huge hot dog. I'm like, that is ridiculous.
Amazing.
But I don't know, festivals. Do you still love going to festivals in general?
I love volunteering at festivals.
Oh, yeah, you do that as well, don't you? Yeah.
Some strings to my bow, my friend.
You used to, was it Solfest where you did the welfare tent?
I did, yeah. I did 10 years of... I've done 10 years of Solfest, not 10 years of welfare tent, but I got involved with this organisation called the Welfaries, which was a welfare organisation, totally independent run. It was amazing. These are people who are working alongside St. John's Ambulance, taking care of people.
Yeah.
Now, because it's independent, and we're all trained, in first aid and things like that, but nobody's wearing fluorescent coats, white clothing. Got to remember that there's a lot of people on drugs at these festivals.
Yeah.
And drugs are illegal. And when you're friends, especially when you're young, is tripping balls or even worse, overdosing. A teenager's like, but what they've done is illegal. I can't take him to first aid because we're going to go to the police.
Somewhere feel like safe to go.
So we would work with this organisation. First of all, at the start of the festival, the strategy is like, let everybody know who we are.
Yeah.
Let them know who we are and invite them in. Sit them down bring them in for a cup of tea. These welfare tents at festivals now, they're always white tents. Our tent was never white. It was always hippie colours.
Green or something, or multicoloured.
Yeah, not clinical at all.
Yeah.
No, these welfare tents, I do it because I see them all. Always a person at the front door with a clipboard.
Yeah. Or counting where's your ticket, where's your wristband, let me see.
You're tripping balls, you don't want to see somebody with a clipboard.
You just want to smiley face going, come in.
Yeah, you want to, and that's so important. I know that sounds like kind of hippie, but it's true because you could save somebody's life because I seen it, man. I seen people in some seriously bad states. But all they needed was some supervision and some water.
Yeah.
Or at least we could take them at least they came to us.
Yeah.
I've seen some people went straight to the hospital.
Yeah.
Straight to first aid. Very important. But at least they came to us in the first place.
Yeah.
We would also do work mobile around the festival. Just walking around. Some water, tea, and all the little bits of first aid that you need, and just being eyes and ears. Yeah. It was a really nice idea, nice organisation, and I was very proud to organise to manage and organise the whole welfare tent for Solfest. So to be the leader of the show for me was like another little achievement, because it's what people need.
And we're at the end of a decade now, aren't we?
We're
We're almost into the next decade.
Do you feel it? Do you feel like you've achieved another decade of your life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I was 29 10 years ago, or 28 10 years ago. What were you 10 years ago? 19?
Yeah.
Depends on how old you are in the 10 years. If you were 15 to 25, that's a massive shift in your life. 20 to 30, changed a bit.
Yeah, I understand. Does time feel like it's going faster for you?
To me, it gets faster as you get older.
Light speed by now.
Yeah, it's just going flying by. What happened to that month? What happened to that year? I shared a video this morning of songs that next year will be 20 years old.
I saw it, yeah. What was on there?
Papa Roach, their big song.
Cut my life, last resort.
20 years old.
This is my last resort.
2000. That was the year 2000. What's the other one? There's some songs and you go, I cannot believe that is 20 years old. It just makes you feel really old.
I truly believe that 2001 was the best year for music. Some of my favourite music to this day came out in 2001. I mean, some people hate new metal, but for me, at 11 years old, hearing like Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory, Papa Roach, Infest, Iowa, Slipknot, was like mind-blowing for me at this age.
Well, luckily for me, I started using Spotify in 2010. So did you get your recap, your annual?
I did, yeah. That was cool.
Top artists for me, obviously Metallica was number one. But Michael Jackson.
Surprising.
Marmoset.
Oh, amazing.
There. Pearl Jam. Who was the other one? I can't remember the other one. Those top five. I can't remember the other one was.
It's eclectic.
What was in yours?
Tool.
Oh, Tool. That was the only mine. Tool. That was the only mine. Yeah.
Tool made a big comeback in my life.
Yeah.
I love to always have. And you Tool fan, Tech?
Not really.
You're not so proggy, no?
Not so proggy.
I've only got into them in the last sort of 2 or 3 years.
They've been big for me for the last 10 years, and I always was a big fan, but because they were not on, as soon as streaming came around,
they weren't on it.
They were not there, and that meant that that I was not listening to Tool much anymore. It was always a treat when I did, because I go home, put the CD on.
I feel lucky that I've only become a really big fan this last couple of years. Because if I was a fan from, what was the last album, 13 years ago or something?
Yeah.
I'd be devastated if I had to wait 13 years for the next album. Like, as soon as I get into them, they're doing a new album just in time.
People have been very critical about the new Tool album, but I think it's amazing. I think it's an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, I've heard people say it's too proggy, or it's too progressive,
too instrumental,
or it's not progressive enough. I'm like, well, you can't please everyone, can you?
My opinion is, it's 13 years. We're in a different decade. We're in a different time. You can't expect it to sound like the same thing. You know, which band could ever make music 13 years apart and still produce the same sound, you know? It's never going to be the same.
When you look at when I was reading the criticisms and the praise, I was like, well, when you get, from the research that I did, this is just me, half of it's like, it's the best thing they've ever done, they've moved on so far forward, and the other half is, this is just rehashed stuff from their last album that didn't make it. You know, that's normal. That means they've done it right down the middle, they've done it for themselves, and you're going to get that whatever. So, like, if it was all praise or if it was all criticism, then maybe you would go, or maybe people are right. But it was conflicting.
Well, you're always going to get that. And actually, I find that it's so easy to criticize the professional bands the most. I never, ever make a judgment on a professional band. And with a newer band, it's quite easy. But because when I talk about a professional band, I'm talking about like bands like Blink-182 or the Foo Fighters.
Been going a long time.
Yeah, because you've already got an idea of what you expect. In fact, you love them. They're in your blood, you know? And when the Foo Fighters, who are a band I really like, put out a new album, I don't judge it too quickly. Because which album have they ever released that I didn't like? None.
There you go.
So what's the chances of them producing a bad album? Very little. It's just, usually these bands like the Foo Fighters, they're always changing their sound, trying to do something different, which is good, but it takes a while to digest it.
That's the artists doing that for themselves, trying something different. Let's do it this way. Let's not do that. Let's not repeat this. Let's do an analog album as they did.
Yeah,
that's them doing stuff for themselves. How can they keep it fresh and interesting for themselves? Because the last thing they want to do is ended up getting bored or not being fun. Like you said, it has to be fun and it has to be interesting for you to be motivated to want to keep doing it.
That's right. And Foo Fighters have always done that. And sometimes I think it's too much sometimes. I mean, you know, they're always trying something. Is it good? Is it bad? Like, should you just focus on the music? Forget about trying to record an album in a different city or trying to record with this analog system. Like, it could be good, could be bad, but they're doing whatever they want to do.
They're having fun doing it.
They're having fun.
If they pandered to what these critics were saying, then they would probably not be here now.
Exactly.
It's like with Metallica, people criticize them. Oh, I like the first 4 albums. It's like, those kind of people. If Metallica did what they wanted to do, they wouldn't be here now, I don't think. If you had Master of Puppets over and over again, variations of that, they wouldn't be as successful as they are, and they probably wouldn't be here now. Yeah. So I don't knock them or any band who's put out albums that generally haven't been that well received. As long as the band's happy and they're still here, then
I don't know any professional band that have released terrible albums. I can't really think of any bands that I've loved that have produced something which was absolutely diabolical.
Wasn't it Linkin Park?
They changed
just before Chester died. Didn't they put an album out that was? I didn't even listen to it.
Was almost pop.
Yeah, and they got heavily criticised for it.
Stormzy was on it, you know. Yeah. So you're talking about, again, no judgment.
It almost feels like a side project than the new album.
Yeah, it's very easy. I know I was quick to pay attention to this. The first single was like a pop, was as much of a pop song, and it had like almost like electronic elements to it. But I'm thinking, if I was a teenager checking out this for the first time, then I'd be loving it. I know that it would, but the problem is, Marc, is that we're stuck in the past. You know, we're still remembering like Hybrid Theory, like you know, one step closer to the edge, and then all of a sudden
variations of that over and over again. But that's not what the band want to do.
No, and also they are kind of like, they're doing what they want to do, and you've got to remember that there is thousands of people, younger people out there, who don't care about, for example, Hybrid Theory, because they never even heard it, but they checked out this new Linkin Park album and think it's amazing. You know, I'm all for progression. Like you know, you maybe seen on my Facebook recently. I'm really trying to. It's because I'm with teenagers all the time, and I'm there with them, and I'm seeing it now. You know, I listen to you on your podcast many times, asks all these musicians about the future of things like that. And I'm like, I feel lucky because I can ask the kids.
Yeah. Those questions.
These questions, because we can never imagine, we can't imagine the answers.
No.
'Cause we're not of that generation.
And you'll see them all living their life through their devices.
Yeah, and they are addicted. Of course they are, you know. But when I asked Mike, because I was listening to your podcast and we talked about this. What's the future of rock music and future of festivals? So I told you, I said I'm going to ask my students.
Yeah.
And I asked some of my students this question, and they said to me, they said, we think it's going to be something to do with rock and rap together. This is what they said.
Right.
And I was like, why did you say that? And they're like talking about Post Malone, who is huge now.
Yeah.
And that Post Malone is like the world's rock star right now. He's a hip hop artist, but he's more rock star than any rock star going at the moment. He's got that attitude. And I think kids now, most kids, they've forgotten about rock music and they think that rappers are rock stars. And fair enough, the rappers have got more attitude than most of the rockers have. Also, I've noticed that the genres are kind of fusing a little bit, because I listen to Post Malone's music and I quite like it. It's like I can hear hip hop, but he's a heavy metal fan. He's a massive like Slayer and Metallica. I can hear it in his music. He sings with a grunge voice, like he's got this raspy thing. So, you know, maybe genres are fusing. 21 Pilots, they're a rock band. They play with 21 Pilots, they're huge bands. But it's a mixed thing. I don't like it personally, but it's hip hop mixed with rock.
Yeah.
That new guy Machine Gun Kelly, who played as he was in the new Motley Crue. He was the actor as Tommy Lee in the new Motley Crue documentary film.
Yeah.
He's a rapper he's an actor, but he's also a rapper, and he's also now released a rock song. But again, it's a fusion of a rapper producing rock music. I think this is the future, Mark.
Could be. Well, it's kind of been done. Rock and rap.
It has been done
before, but yeah, definitely got room for more exploration in that direction. Your post that you're talking about, was that the one where you're talking about disconnecting and stuff like that?
No. That was it. When I was talking about disconnecting, I was talking about phones and
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I don't know if we showed it on here one time, we had a picture of a gig from like, I don't know, it was 1992.
With Rosie, you were talking to Rosie, yeah.
No, this was the one that I saw online, where it was like a sold out crowd and people like crowd surfing, jumping. Like it said at the bottom, like, not a phone in sight. Like how different people then experience gigs to how they do now. Like the first thing people do is get their phone out. Some people film most of it behind their phone, or try to take photos, or they're like messaging someone, or they're just doing something on their phone. They're not fully taking it in. And like I remember doing that. I remember being to gigs when phones weren't a thing. Yeah. Or you maybe had a mobile phone, but it wasn't a smartphone, so it was just in your pocket.
At first, I never understood it, especially during my days without a smartphone. I was like, what, are they just recording the video so they can go home and watch the whole set again at home?
Why are they? It's always shitty quality. I don't understand.
I think that maybe they're not doing it so they can watch it themselves. They're doing it so they can share it. In fact, they're sharing
know that they were there.
Yeah, they're sharing it while they're at the concert. And what annoys me most is live streaming. Your friend didn't buy a ticket to the concert. You did.
Or when someone rings you and go, "Hey, listen to this," you're like, "What's that?" No idea what that is.
Oh, we all done this. That was the.
Well, it's when you're drunk though. You're like, "Yeah."
That was the original live streaming. You know.
Yeah. Terrible. God. But like bands start doing their own live streaming.
And there's always a photograph, a video of it online, and professional footage. You know, you're a download festival. You watch the whole thing like professional.
All mediums are doing that now. They put clips and sound bites of whatever they've been doing to go on social media, and they beef it up. They do good quality so that we don't have to anymore. Yeah.
And when I went to see a deathcore band called Slaughter to Prevail, Russian band, playing in Kiev last week. This was the band that I booked. Never heard them before. Amazing. Club show, tiny. 200 people there. Insane. You know, you're talking like brutal music. Yeah. And amazing. But as the band came on stage, I couldn't even see the band because all I could see was the fronts of people's phones. Because every person had the phone in their hand, and because they're not here, they're here. They're holding their hand above their head.
Yeah, it's like another foot. They're covering another foot of your field of view.
It was insane. It was like looking, I was like watching it on TV through the people's phones. It's
crazy.
It is a bit strange, Mark, but we're all a little bit guilty of it. Do you still go to as many gigs now? Like, do you still go to gigs?
No. I've just dropped off.
It's because you're busy doing a podcast, maybe.
Well, yeah, it is busy. Yeah, I do regret sometimes not going to. I should have gone to that gig, shouldn't I? But most of the time, it's just 'cause I can't.
I went to Brickyard last night.
Yeah.
Your favourite venue.
Yeah.
I went to the Brickyard last night to watch Hardwick Circus.
Oh yeah.
My little brother.
Yeah. Fair play to Hardwick Circus though, they've put the work in. Was it well attended? It was 2 nights, wasn't it?
2 nights. They were going for
One was
double sellout.
One was sold out, wasn't it? Well,
the first one was sold out. I asked Andy at the Brickyard last night, did they sell it out? He said no, but it looked sold out. It was as full as
it was full.
It was give or take. He said it's not full. It's not sold out.
And whatever you think of that band or any band, that is an achievement.
That's an achievement.
That's impressive. That is impressive.
And it was a good crowd. Everyone was loving it. I said to Andy, I said, I've not seen people this drunk at a rock gig at the Brickyard in long. It was party
we
vibe
played
last night.
the venue in Carlisle with them
With
a few
Dynamo.
years ago.
Nice.
It was part of a all-dayer music thing, and they were on before us. I can't remember, but same thing. They all brought all their old fans, and they're all singing. And I was like, because I remember when they first started, didn't we do a gig at the warehouse with them?
I was just going to say that we booked them. They were under the name The Alleys.
The Alleys.
I booked them 2013 Halloween.
That classic thing that they had their van with their name and everything all over it. It's like, oh, this van's full of music gear. Hey, it's parked right out here. Come on in.
Yeah,
but I was I don't know if I was critical, but I don't know. I wasn't. At the time, I didn't think their songs were that great. The 2 of them looked about 12.
They were very young.
But fair play to them. They've kept going. They've evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen to some of their latest stuff online. Good songs. I can recognize good musicianship and good songs when I see it, even if it's not my cup of tea.
You should get them on here. They seem like top lads. The singer, he's got what you need. Aren't
they playing a big festival in
South by Southwest in Texas
next year? That's fucking amazing.
They were doing a
At
raffle.
the end of the day, they've put the work in, so they deserve all this stuff that they're getting, and you can't knock them for it. You cannot.
This is why I booked them back in 2013 to play for the gig that I used to organise because they were talented. I saw them playing at Village Hall in Greystoke or something like this, and I thought these kids have got
something.
talent.
Yeah.
14 years old, man.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. They were so young. So
young.
If they keep going, surely they're going to do something.
Yeah, someone asked me last night, how was the gig? It's not my thing.
Yeah.
Man, I went to that gig last night because I've been away for such a long time. I haven't been here for 4 months. I feel like I needed my live music fix. Plus, I was coming on here. I just wanted to reconnect with the scene.
Yeah.
See what's going on. I thought maybe I would see some people. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know a single person. Last night, but that's not my scene,
Yeah.
I just wanted to reconnect. There's 2 local bands playing there, and I like to be on to know what's going on. And it wasn't my sort of music, but it was professional. And I think these kids, they're kids, like they're 24, 25. They've written a 90-minute set of great songs. That's great. In Cumbria, we've got something special here. I don't know what you think about the Cumbrian music scene here, but for the popular, there's great musicians everywhere in England. But for the population of people that we have here, we have a lot of very talented musicians.
Yeah, I listen to Tommy Salmon on BBC Radio Cumbria. He does the BBC Introduction show. I listen to his show quite often, and he has loads of upcoming bands, and he seems to have his finger on the pulse, and he's always at the festivals interviewing the bands as well.
They come and go naturally, like everywhere. Good bands come and go, but
there's always something there. There's always something.
Yeah, our mates Beachmaster, they're a talented band, and like they're at this level, where I guess they're happy with what they're doing. But when I watch them, I think that they're so talented. I think ZZ, the singer, like he reminds me of like Kurt Cobain. He's got that when the music. He's the kind of guy who, like, he maybe wouldn't talk a lot. Maybe, I don't know. He's my friend, but maybe not the most outgoing guy.
All about just the performance.
When the stage hits, man, he's
on.
He's alive with that guitar. And he reminds me of Kurt Cobain. When I listen to his song lyrics, they're full of metaphors and clever anecdotes and things like that. And but I believe the talent here in Cumbria comes probably from the weather. I think we have like Seattle syndrome.
Yeah, cold and rainy most of the time.
Yeah, what did
So
you
stay in and play music.
stay at home in your garage playing guitar?
Yeah.
And you know, I know what it's like because I'm living now in this city in Kiev. Like in Kiev is almost the size of London. It's huge. 6 million people there. And I know how many distractions there are in the city. It's like an adult's playground. So much fun and partying and things like that. Compared to in Penrith, well, there's not a lot happening.
No.
But
So when someone does do something, people want to go to it.
Yeah, what I see, I don't know, I've been away for a long time, I don't know exactly what all my old pals are doing here, but it seems like they're playing a lot of music.
Yeah.
And if they were distracted by a lot of other things, because Penrith was so incredible, so incredibly entertaining, then they would be distracted, but actually there's not so much going on, so they focus their time.
So it's worked to their advantage, really.
Yeah, and I think that's why now we're seeing less musicians, like people interested in rock music and things like that, because there are less musicians maybe coming through because, well, they're not going to be picking up an analog instrument when there's so much more entertainment.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree. Yeah. It's part of, it's like they say, what else are they going to do? So if people are into music, it gives them more time and reason to focus on it, practice, rehearse, get a band together, do some gigs.
I said to I always ask my students what they're up to, like, you know, it's a Friday, what are you up to this weekend? It says, playing guitar tonight. I said, all right, electric or acoustic? He's like, no, digital. Oh, you mean like Guitar Hero?
These kids these days. On a screen. Playing Guitar Hero.
You just play guitar. Oh, you play acoustic or electric? No.
Are we going to see an artist in doing well in the music industry through digital guitar, not real?
Hey man, maybe we need some new instruments. I don't know. I mean,
there's always room for innovation.
Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? It's these kids are living in another world right now. You know, we're saying teaching, like, if you're not if they're living on their phones, if you're not there on their phones, then they're bored. Like, if that's where they want to be, if you want to, I know it's not right. It's not the right thing. But if you want, like, when the kids are doing use books now, they're so bored. They want to use technology. But the moment there's many apps we use for teaching, they like quizzes.
You have to adapt
things
to
like
how they exist, don't you? It's funny actually, because one of the friends I was out with last night, we went to the IMAX to see Star Wars, and we went out for food afterwards. She was saying that, like, her son doesn't like staying at grandma's because she's boring, because she doesn't like phones and tablets. And it's like, your mum sounds great. I think more people should do that, because it's just almost like I don't know if it's a cop out, but here, have a device and shut up. Do you know what I mean?
I've seen it, man, in car sales.
Her mum likes to, like, draw or play a game or, you know, do something that doesn't involve a screen. And I respect that.
People shut the kids up so easily, you know. Like I said, like, you see a customer at your desk when you're selling a car. Buying a car can take 2 or 3 hours. It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
But the screen in front of the kid,
the
tablet, kid's quiet for ages.
I mean, I don't have kids, so what do I think?
Me
But what do I know? But I'm always thinking, well, just give your child to somebody else to look after and go and buy a car. You're boring the kid to death. Why are you taking them there?
Yeah.
I was like, when you go take them around shopping, like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
It's like, well, obviously.
I feel like this sometimes when I go shopping too, you know.
I hate shopping. Even when it's for me, I hate shopping. I go about once a year. I buy a few different items of clothes. That'll do me.
Have you done your Christmas shopping?
Oh yeah, all done.
It's all right. This is going out after Christmas anyway.
Yeah. I'm on the ball.
Good. I
think we're running out of time here.
Are we?
Yeah.
How much time have we done?
What have we done?
2.5 hours.
Shut up.
There you go. That's why.
Wow. Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. I just want to say before we go, if I can just say something.
Yeah. And also, just in general, if there's anything we haven't covered, I'll have you back on.
Dude, yeah, that's great.
Next year, come back on. So don't worry if you go, I didn't talk about such and such.
I just want to say, Mikey Lawless, awesome. You know, just like to him. I
forget you listen to every episode,
and you know, it's inspiring what he's been going through. It's terrible too. But when I've seen them, all the Fallen Red guys organising this gig, well done to them all, and you guys for promoting and all this stuff. For me, being there in Ukraine, like having this medium to keep me going, like listening to your talking, our pals playing great music. It's amazing, you know. So
that Mikey one, I was like, what can I do? All I could do was have him on here, raise awareness, and from him being on here, it gained a lot of donations to the fund.
I
So
donated.
I was happy with that.
And if people should try to keep donating because it's not over yet, so we're all with him.
Absolutely.
And I think we're one scene here, and what you guys are doing here with podcasting is different, but it's amazing. So thank you, and we should do this again.
Actually, I'll tell you before we go. I've done a recap episode. It hasn't gone out yet, but I'll read it on here. So people listening to this will have already heard it anyway, but you won't have. Where was it? Yeah. So obviously this year, every year we sort of do better and better. So 23 episodes this year, 35 guests, and I've sat and chatted to people for 54 hours, 1,247 minutes and 55 seconds.
Which means that Tex had to sit and listen to the same amount.
It's the longest I've ever been quiet.
Yeah. I just thought, so people who listen to this will have already heard this if they listen to the bonus episode, but you won't. So, top 10 countries were United States is number 1. It's our most popular country and has been since
above England.
Yeah. What? England, UK, UK is number 2. Then France, Germany, Australia, Ukraine is number 6.
That's all me listen. This is all my listens.
Spain, Ireland, Italy, and Canada. The platforms, Apple Podcasts is number 1. Obviously, that makes sense. Spotify is now number 2. Spotify has just come from nowhere. Since they've opened up podcasts, it's opened up. Because people who listen to music, who didn't choose to listen to podcasts, are now getting podcasts put in front of them and go, oh, I'll check out these podcasts. So, and also it works better for Spotify because they don't have to pay royalties out of it. If you spend half your time listening to podcasts, they're not listening to music, they don't have to pay royalties. So it's good for them. Spotify, Chrome, iTunes, Android Download Manager, an app just called Podcasts. Okay. LAVF, Podcast Addict, which is what I use. What do you use to listen to podcasts?
Google Podcasts.
There you go. That's not actually in there. There you go.
I just have your app that I have created a shortcut, and your the Google Google Podcast. You can have a shortcut, so it looks like it's your own app.
I
it has
see.
its own little logo, you know.
Yeah, and also we've changed our logo this year.
Looks great, man. You know, podcasts have been are still new for me. Well, before the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah. They've been my companion. Actually, there's health benefit from this, man. You know, being abroad can be lonely. Well, you know, okay. Yeah. What about old people and things like this? Podcasts could.
Yeah, now there's podcasts for anyone about
so
any
many
subject.
uses. You know, so many uses. So cheers, guys, and I think we should do this again.
We definitely will do this again. It's been an absolute pleasure, man.
All right.
Cheers.